Wang Wei's awakening. Wang Wei took a deep breath as he began to test his newfound strength after his breakthrough. With a simple thought, his feet lifted off the ground, defying gravity itself. He wasn't just standing, he was floating. Like a sky lantern released during the Lantern Festival, he hovered in midair, a feat made possible by his mastery over the spiritual chi of heaven and earth. As a cultivator in the divine altar realm, he couldn't fly freely like those in the supernatural realm, but he could at least sustain himself in the air for short periods. For several minutes, he glided around the room, experimenting with his control before gently landing back on the floor. He let out a sigh, a wave of emotions washing over him. Since ancient times, mankind had always dreamed of flying freely across the vast sky. Today he, Wang Wei, had taken a step closer to realizing that dream. While he wasn't soaring like a bird just yet, he knew it was only a matter of time. The next cultivation realm would grant him complete mastery over the skies. Of course, he had experienced flight before, whether through talismans or being carried by Wang Ju. But this, being able to do it on his own, was an entirely different feeling. Testing his strength. After floating for a while, Wang Wei decided to test his raw power. Channeling his purer origin chi, he threw a punch into the air. Instantly, a massive golden lion, standing over 15 meters tall, materialized before him. It radiated a supreme aura of kingly dominance, the unquestionable authority of the jungle's ruler. As the lion roared, the vibrations surged outward, crashing into the walls of the room. Boom! The impact sent cracks rippling through the walls, and the entire chamber trembled under the force. Just as the room was about to collapse, protective formations activated, neutralizing the attack. Satisfied, Wang Wei threw another punch. This time, a ferocious tiger burst into existence. Unlike the lion, this beast carried a suffocating killing intent, the terrifying aura of an apex predator staring down its prey. Boom! The tiger's charge left deep claw marks across the walls and even gouged into the floor. Wang Wei nodded in approval. His lion and tiger fist techniques had advanced significantly. He could feel how his origin chi merged with heaven and earth's spiritual chi to manifest these creatures. More than just techniques, they required him to embrace the mindset of the beasts themselves, the lion's dominance and the tiger's ruthless ferocity. Unleashing the dragon. Feeling emboldened, Wang Wei gathered even more origin chi, and threw a third punch. This time, something truly extraordinary happened. A 30-meter-long, three-clawed divine dragon materialized in the room. It had the head of a camel, deer-like antlers, ox-like ears, a serpent's body, and shimmering carp scales. Its claws were those of an eagle, and its paws a tiger's. A terrifying innate aura of supremacy emanated from the creature, the arrogance of the ruler of the seas. With a single movement, the dragon burst through the roof and soared into the sky, releasing an earth-shaking roar. The sound reverberated across the Wang family mountain, sending tremors through the entire sect. The moment its roar echoed, an overwhelming pressure descended upon the mountain. All cultivators below the divine altar realm instantly felt an immense weight crushing them to the ground, as though they were carrying an entire mountain on their backs. Despite their struggles, they were forcibly pressed down, unable to resist. Only supernatural realm cultivators and above could withstand the pressure, thanks to their origin essence, a higher form of chi. Even those unaffected couldn't ignore the dragon's presence. The entire sect had taken notice. The elders take notice. Within the Supreme Elder Cottage, a secluded area where the sect's most powerful experts resided, an elderly figure opened his eyes. Wang Chong, Wang Wei's grandfather. Looking toward the sky, he spotted the soaring divine dragon, and let out a pleased chuckle. Already mastered the dragon's sovereign fist. So he has entered the divine altar realm already. Good, very good. Worthy of my grandson. At that moment, a voice echoed in his mind. It was a divine sense communication from the other supreme elders. It seems the young master has broken through, said true monarch Yan Chen. Yes. Given how strong his foundation was, I thought it would take longer. It's good that he advanced early. It's about time for him to experience some real training. Are we using the same place as before? No. The Great Wu Imperial Dynasty has discovered a new secret realm and invited us, along with other factions, to participate. Without prior knowledge of this realm, the challenge will be much harder for our young master. That isn't necessarily a bad thing. Greater risks lead to greater rewards. How much time do we have? At least 10 years or more. Not long, but sufficient to prepare. One of the elders then turned to true monarch Yan Chen. Yan Chen, you should go negotiate the details with the Great Wu Dynasty. The old man snorted. Why me? Can't we just send a great elder? You know how shameless the Great Wu Dynasty is. Heaven knows what kind of tricks they'll try to pull. We need to be cautious. Okay, I get that, but why do I have to go? You're Wang Wei's Dao protector. That's part of your job. Yan Chen crossed his arms. Shouldn't I stay here to protect him, then? The other elders remained silent. Yan Chen let out a cold snort. Humph. You're all just lazy. You don't want to leave your comfortable little nests. Without waiting for a reply, he turned and left the sect, heading toward the Great Wu Dynasty. Back at Wang Family Mountain, Wang Wei exhaled, satisfied with his newfound strength. Then, he glanced around. His entire cultivation room had been reduced to rubble. His mouth twitched. I should have tested my strength in the training hall instead. After sighing, he called for someone to repair his room before moving into his father's cultivation chamber temporarily. Over the next half-month, he carefully refined his control over his power. Once he was satisfied, he sat down and pulled out an ancient book covered in runes. The title, written in Dao script, glowed faintly. Ancient Desolate Body Refining Scripture. His eyes gleamed with excitement. For years, he had dreamed of refining his body through this technique. Now, the opportunity had finally arrived. While Origin Qi cultivators were powerful, their biggest weakness was running out of energy. Without Qi, they became vulnerable. Even his own father had almost died in a dead zone, unable to replenish his Origin Qi. But body refinement cultivators were different. Their flesh alone could withstand overwhelming force, granting them near immortality in battle. Wang Wei smirked as he turned the first page. Let's see just how powerful this body refinement path truly is. The Legacy of Wang Chong. Wang Wei held the ancient book in his hands, his heart pounding with excitement. He had already read the entirety of the ancient desolate body refining scripture, yet what he now held was the original copy, the one imbued with the knowledge and will of its creator. Placing his palm atop the scripture, he injected his Origin Qi into it. Instantly, the divine runes inscribed on its surface lit up with radiant energy. A moment later, his surroundings shifted. A meeting across time. Wang Wei found himself in an empty golden room, illuminated by a soft glow. A few meters ahead sat a middle-aged man, cross-legged on a mat, exuding a tranquil yet overpowering presence. At first glance, the man looked familiar. Upon closer inspection, Wang Wei realized that this man bore a striking resemblance to himself. Even from a distance, Wang Wei could hear the blood rushing through his veins, a rhythmic sound like the roaring of an endless tide. His breathing was long and deep, each exhale sharp enough to send forth a stream of compressed air more than 30 meters away. His skin, smooth and polished like the purest jade, radiated an abnormal density and resilience. His mere fist clenching created a sound akin to air being torn apart. When the man moved, his muscles contracted with a thunderous sound, his bones clicking like colliding metals. Wang Wei's eyes gleamed with astonishment. What a powerful body, he murmured in awe. Then, the man opened his eyes and spoke. Greetings, my descendant. You may call me Wang Chong. A voice, calm yet filled with an undeniable authority, resonated through the space. Wang Wei, momentarily startled, quickly cupped his hands and bowed deeply. Descendant Wang Wei greets the ancestor. The middle-aged man smiled faintly. You must have many questions. However, this is merely a memory I left behind for future generations, to tell my story and guide them in cultivating my greatest achievement, the ancient desolate body refining scripture. Realizing this was only a recorded memory, Wang Wei smiled awkwardly. His father could have at least warned him. That old man set me up. Wang Wei thought, gritting his teeth. Then, a wicked idea crossed his mind. Fine. I'll just tell mother. Let's see how well you sleep outside for the next few months, father. Suppressing his inner grievances, he focused on Wang Chong's words. The beginning of an era. I was born at the dawn of the faith era, Wang Chong began. At that time, the Buddhist sect had discovered a method to rapidly increase their cultivation using the power of faith, drawing strength from the devotion of the common people. Because of this, the majority of great emperors born in my time belonged to Buddhism. As for me, I was unfortunate. Less than 10,000 years after I was born, Emperor Seven Lotus successfully seized the heaven mandate and ascended to the throne. Wang Wei's heart tightened. He knew that the moment a great emperor was crowned, all others in the same era lost their eligibility to compete. Wang Chong hadn't even had a chance to grow strong, let alone contend for the throne. Wang Chong continued. Worse still, I was contaminated by karma, preventing me from fighting in the next heaven mandate battle. At the peak of the supreme realm, I was filled with resentment and unwillingness. As a heaven's chosen born with the heavy axe physique, how could I accept being inferior to anyone? So in a moment of reckless defiance, I challenged Emperor Seven Lotus. Wang Wei inhaled sharply. The gap between the supreme realm and great emperor was unfathomable. Even he, with all his knowledge, couldn't fully comprehend how vast that difference was. Wang Chong's voice remained calm, yet there was a trace of bitterness as he recalled the past. It was a mistake. A devastating one. With just one finger, I was utterly defeated. If not for Emperor Seven Lotus's admiration for my courage, I would have died on that battlefield. Wang Wei's eyes widened in shock. One finger. He had expected a hard-fought battle, not total annihilation. Wang Chong continued. After that day I understood, a great emperor stands above all beings. In their presence we are merely ants. But I refused to accept that fate. I wanted to prove that an ant could defy heaven, that I could kill a giant, or at the very least, stand as its equal. The search for power. Thus began my journey, Wang Chong said. I traveled across the world, seeking inspiration. Yet no matter where I went, I found nothing that could bridge the chasm between a supreme realm cultivator and a great emperor. Until I ventured into one of the forbidden zones in the northern Black Tortoise continent, the Blood Earth. A chill ran down Wang Wei's spine. Even today, Blood Earth remained one of the most dangerous forbidden zones. And Wang Chong had dared to enter it. Wang Chong's voice darkened. Deep within the Blood Earth, I found a sleeping giant. A corpse, or so I believed at first. It was a primordial god, over 100,000 zhang long, with copper-like skin, and an aura akin to an emperor's. Yet, there was no trace of Tao power, its might came solely from its body. Wang Wei's blood ran cold. A living primordial god. The Blood Earth still existed today. If that being was merely asleep, what would happen if it woke up? His hands clenched. This world was far deeper than he had imagined. The birth of a new path. Wang Chong's voice remained steady. Despite the danger, I chose to study the body of this primordial god. For years I observed its breathing, sleeping patterns, blood circulation, muscle contractions, even the way it snored. I analyzed its skin, muscles, bones, organs, and blood, even its nails and hair. The only thing I dared not touch was its soul. After decades of research, I finally succeeded. I created a cultivation method to forge a body as strong as the primordial gods, or even surpass them. And then, I challenged Emperor Seven Lotus once more. Wang Wei held his breath. This time, I did not lose to a single finger. This time, I did not lose at all. Wang Wei's eyes widened. I fought an emperor as an equal. Though he was stronger, he could not kill me. Silence filled the golden room. A mortal cultivator, standing equal to an emperor. Wang Wei exhaled deeply, trying to process what he had just learned. The deal that changed everything. After our battle, Emperor Seven Lotus was intrigued. He made me an offer: if I shared my body refining method with him, he would cleanse my karma, allowing me to compete in the next heaven mandate battle. I accepted. In the next era, I crushed all rivals, proved the Tao, and became the ancient desolate emperor. Wang Wei closed his eyes and took a deep breath. This is the true power of my sect.
Hey, welcome to Firescale Audiobooks. If you enjoy our audiobooks, please consider subscribing to the channel. Also, feel free to share your review in the comments section below.
After telling his story, Wang Chong, ancient desolate emperor, started to teach Wang Wei how to begin cultivating the ancient desolate body refining scripture. The first step is how to properly breathe like the primordial god. Through breathing, spiritual qi can be used to temper the skin in certain ways. While Wang Wei was beginning his journey in refining a powerful body, all the other heaven chosen of this generation were also making rapid progress. In the lower plane, in a plane called Blue Cloth World. This world was called as such due to the fact that the sky resembled a blue cloth enveloping the entire world. The Lin clan mansion. Many disciples were busy walking and talking as a family trial had just finished. They were happily discussing the result of this trial. I cannot believe that the first young master won the number 1 spot during this year's family trial. No one was his match. Yeah, the first young master is really strong. TSK, what do you guys know? Oh, this little junior brother, do you have a problem with the first young master? We all know that the only reason that the first young master won this competition was due to the fact that third young master, Lin Fan, was not here. This little junior brother, you dare say anything? You guys might be afraid of the first young master, but I'm not. Speaking of the young master Lin Fan, he is indeed a legend. Who would have thought that the third young master, who was considered by the family as a waste, who could not cultivate, suddenly became a heaven-defying genius? In just a few years, he managed to break through the divine sea realm, and used his strength to suppress all the other disciples of the main family. You guys' news is backwards. Not long ago, young master Lin Fan entered the divine altar realm, and went to participate in the heavy water sect's trial to accept new disciples. Heavy water sect. That's the most powerful sect of the world, with more than one ancestor in the primordial spirit realm. And from what I heard, all the heaven chosen of the entire blue cloth world would participate in their trial in order to be accepted as disciples. While these 3 disciples of the Lin clan were talking, they suddenly heard a commotion ahead of them. Countless clan members were rushing in one direction. The little junior brother, who did not like the first young master, caught a passing by clan's disciple, and asked what the commotion was all about. The other person then answered while stuttering due to his hype emotion. The third young master Lin Fan, has returned to the clan. After that, he shoved the little junior brother aside and ran in the direction of the family's entrance. Soon, the little junior brother and the other people whom he was talking to also ran towards the entrance. Meanwhile, at the entrance of the Lin clan mansion, the patriarch of the Lin clan and all the elders were standing and waiting for someone. After a few minutes, a golden chariot driven by 2 Tier 4 supernatural realm, demonic beasts birds flew in the sky. There were 5 people escorting or protecting the chariot, 1 old man and 4 young people. After the chariot landed, the curtain was lifted and a young teenager wearing black robes with gold thread laced on them. His long hair was in the standard top-knot styles. He was very handsome, exuding a noble and immortal-like atmosphere, like he was an immortal from above heaven descending and showing its presence to all mortals in the mundane world. As soon as he appeared, he became the center of attention. It was like the entire universe, the entire chaos revolved around him. The most impressive feature was his eyes. In his eyes, you could see the birth and end of all things. You could see all the myriad Taos, both mutually exclusive evolving and interacting with one another, like they were one and many at the same time. This person was the third young master of the Lin clan, Lin Fan. He is also the owner of the number 1 heavenly physique, the absolute chaos physique. Many of the disciples of the sect started yelling in cheers, and making a lot of noise. As for the women of the Lin clan, they stared at Lin Fan wishing to devour him whole if they could. However, soon, their hearts were broken. After exiting, Lin Fan removed the curtain, and a woman came out holding his hand. She was quite beautiful, with a sacred temperament exuding from her body. Of all the women present, she can say with the utmost confidence that she is the most beautiful. Perhaps, this argument can be extended to all the women of this world. Of course, that only applied to this particular plane. After Lin Fan walked out his golden chariot, many other beautiful women came out, walking a few steps behind him, and the companion he was holding in his right arm. As soon as he arrived in front of the Lin clan patriarch, he knelt on the floor and kowtowed till his head hit the floor. Father, son have returned, and I did not lose our Lin clan's face. It's good that you are back safe and sound, said the patriarch whose name was Lin Min, as he lifted his son up from the floor. He looked at him up and down, and became more satisfied the longer he observed. After getting up, Lin Fan just gave a look at the other elders, and just nodded slightly before continuing his conversation with his father. An act which made the elders smile wryly. After a brief chat, Lin Min looked at the beautiful young girl next to his son. This is Father, this is Mu Chuanhua, the saintess of the heavy water sect. She is also my wife. After being introduced, the girl saluted and said, Chuanhua has seen father. Lin Min was quite surprised after hearing this news, although his face did not show it. Not only did his third son win first place in the competition of the heavy water sect, he even brought their saintess as a daughter-in-law. Little Chuanhua, welcome to the Lin clan. In the future, if Fanner bullies you, just come tell me. This old man is still capable of fixing him. Mu Chuanhua blushed after hearing this, then nodded shyly. Lin Min then invited his son and his entourage to enter the main hall in order to discuss things properly. Following which, Lin Fan introduced his maids and concubines, his 4 senior brothers and the elder sent by the sect to protect him. Lin Min could see that none of these people were simple. Just by the fact that these 4 senior brothers of his son could actually fly, they are at least in the supernatural realm. As for the old man serving as protector, the pressure Lin Min felt from him was more intense than the most powerful elders their clan currently has. Which means, at the very least, he had a cultivation in the divine body realm. After Lin Fan introduced all the people around him, he described how easy it was for him to beat all the so-called heaven chosen during the competition. All the people in the room look at him with reverence, while Mu Chuanhua's eyes never left Lin Fan's face for a second. Later that day, Lin Fan went to secretly meet his father in his room. He took out a space ring and handed it to him. What's this for? Asked Lin Min in confusion. Father, these are resources enough for you to break through the supernatural realm. Lin Min became shocked at how precious the materials inside this ring are. You should know, the highest cultivation currently existing in the Lin clan is the peak of the supernatural realm. And now, his son told him that the resources in here can allow him to reach such a realm. Lin Min sighed and shook his head. He returned the ring back and said, Fanna, it is better for you to use it for yourself. With your talent, it is only a matter of time before you can enter the divine body realm, and maybe have a chance at entering the primordial spirit realm, and be a peak-level powerhouse. However, Lin Fan secretly shook his head. How could the primordial spirit realm be the end of his path? However, he could not blame how low his father's vision was, as he did not know the horror of his talent, and how profound his background truly was. Father, you do not need to worry about me. The sect has designated a lot of resources in order to cultivate me. Furthermore, as this year's champion, I received a lot of precious rewards. So you could use the space ring without worrying about anything. Lin Min hesitated for a moment. However, seeing the firm look on his son's face, he accepted the ring and put it away. As a cultivator, he aspires to reach higher realms. Not only for greater strength but also for longer lifespan. Seeing his father accept his gift, Lin Fan nodded happily. His father and little sister were the only two people he actually had a good relationship with in the clan. When he first started cultivating, due to his special physique, his body could not properly gather blood qi. All his qi would weirdly be destroyed the next day after being cultivated. As such, the clan labeled him as trash. He received all kinds of cold and indifferent stares. And many of the clan disciples would use sparing as an excuse to bully him. As his mother was dead long ago after giving birth, the only people who treated him like a human being were his father and little sister. Especially his father, as he did not abandon him due to his lack of talent. On the contrary, he would provide countless resources to him in order to help him. And when the elders forbade his father from using the clan's resources to train a waste, he would secretly provide Lin Fan from his own cultivating resources. Even his little sister would secretly give him some pills. After experiencing all of this, Lin Fan vowed that he would do whatever it took to provide his family with a better life. And soon, an opportunity will present itself. After giving the ring to his father, Lin Fan went to say goodnight to his wife and entered his old cultivation room. However, as soon as he was about to enter meditation, someone appeared inside his room. Immediately, Lin Fan opened his eyes while being on alert. However, when he saw who it was, he stood up, bowed and said, "Teacher." The man who had entered Lin Fan's room just nodded to him. Then, he looked at him up and down, then asked, "Did you refine the chaos qi?" "Yes, Teacher Qiu Jin. Now my physique is 100 times more powerful than before. On top of that, I can feel that the chaos qi will bring me countless benefits in the future. It is expected to have such an effect. After all, this can be considered one of the best and top resources of the academy. Well, teacher, when I become an emperor, I will definitely repay the academy for doing their best to cultivate me." Supreme Teacher Qiu Jin looked at his disciples and frowned. Suddenly, he asked, "What made you so happy recently?" Upon hearing this question, Lin Fan became overly excited. As such, he said, "Teacher, you should have seen me during the heavy water sects competition. None of the participants were a match for me. In fact, none of these heaven chosens could take more than a punch from me. If it was not due to the fact that I did not want to attract too much attention, I would have taken less than an hour to beat and suppress all the participants. Then, you should have seen the look on these heaven chosen's faces when they looked down on me and my low background, and then, when the competition began, they could not even take a punch from me. And then, there were the elders and sect leader of the heavy water sect. They basically begged me to marry their saintess as a wife. Of course, I'm not complaining about having such beauty by my side." The more true monarch Qiu Jin heard about Lin Fan's experience, the more the frown on his face increased. He looked at Lin Fan and said in a deep voice, "Do you think that it is something to be proud about to be able to beat all the participants in this trial?" Upon hearing this question, Lin Fan immediately shut his mouth and lowered his head. From his teacher's tone of voice, he could tell that he had done something wrong. There are not many people that Lin Fan respects and fears in this world, but his teacher Qiu Jin is one of them. When he was at the lowest point of his life, it was teacher Qiu Jin who showed up and told him that he was not a waste, but a heaven-defying genius born in the wrong place and time. It was teacher Qiu Jin who opened his eyes to how vast the universe is and showed him the vast amount of potential he has as a person. It was also teacher Qiu Jin who taught him an unfathomably powerful cultivation method and made him as powerful as he is today. Teacher Qiu Jin's voice continued to echo in the cultivation room. "Do you think that beating a few weak cultivators in a weak plane is something to be proud and arrogant about? You should know that your plane is nothing but a middle thousand world. As such, the highest level of cultivation possible is the primordial spirit realm. As for the so-called heaven chosen you speak of, can these people bear such a heavy title? The majority of them will not even be acknowledged as geniuses in a greater thousand world, let alone compare to the genius in the myriad emperor world that have the capability to compete for the heaven mandate." Lin Fan held his head down and dared not say anything. However, deep down, he did not completely agree with his teacher. And Supreme Teacher Qiujin could also see this fact. Seems like you are not convinced. Then, let me show you what kind of people you will be facing in the future. After saying that, Qiujin waves his hand, and an image appears in front of him. It was a young man with gray hair, and eyes that could pierce through the heart of his enemies and control their fate. This person right in front of you is called Wang Wei. He is the young master of the Tao opening sect. You should know what this sect represents, right? Yes, teacher. The Tao opening sect is the most powerful sect of the world you are from and also the main competitor of the academy. Qiujin nodded and continued. This young master is currently considered the greatest threat to all the heaven chosen of this generation. Do you know why? Lin Fan just shook his head. As such, Qiujin continued to explain. That's because of all the things he has accomplished in the past few years. Despite being the young master of such a powerful sect, he did not become prideful and arrogant due to his strong background. On the contrary, he strived to become better than he was. With the resources of the sect, he designed a trial for the sole purpose of honing and polishing his will and Tao heart. And he succeeded. No, he more than succeeded. From the information that the academy just received, this young master Wang Wei actually became a young emperor. Do you know what a young emperor is? No, teacher, I do not know. A young emperor is a young cultivator that has the will and Tao heart comparable to a great emperor. And this young master accomplished this even before he started cultivating. Upon hearing this, Lin Fan's face became shocked. Even in his world, there have been countless rumors and legendary deeds left by great emperors. Furthermore, his teacher took a long time to describe how mighty and powerful great emperors are. As such, Lin Fan knows that anything related to an emperor is considered extraordinary beyond comparison. And this Wang Wei already has a Tao heart compared to such a supreme being. Shocking, isn't it? I can tell you that is just the tip of the iceberg. This future sacred son of the Tao opening sect created his own heavenly physique. That's impossible. Teacher, you told me special physiques were gifts granted by heaven and earth to a few chosen individuals. This time Lin Fan was beyond shocked. One of the things he must pride himself with is the fact that he has the number one heavenly physique. He believed that he was chosen and destined to be a great emperor. But now, this is what all the cultivators of our world once thought. But young Master Wang Wei proved that we were wrong. His special physique was acknowledged by heavenly Tao, and now he has the number for fate puppeteer physique. Now, all the factions of the myriad emperor world including the academy are studying how he accomplished such a thing. If the academy succeeds, then we would not have to worry about having heaven chosen in the future. Lin Fan looked at his teacher with a frown in his face. He suddenly realized the gravity of the situation he was in right now. You thought that it was over? No, there is more to him than this. After saying this, Qiujin waved his hand, and an image appeared in the room. It was the scene of the Tao opening sect being bombarded by divine punishment thunder. Just by looking at the scene through a recorded image, Lin Fan could feel the horror of these thunder. Did this young master Wang Wei cause this? Yes. On that day, all the cultivators in the world received a message from heavenly Tao that the young master Wang Wei had committed blasphemy and needed to be stopped. After countless scholars of the academy analyzed the situation, they came up with a highly probable theory. Do you remember the barrier you felt after entering the 12th layer of the body refining realm? Lin Fan just nodded mechanically. As such, Supreme Teacher Qiujin continued. We believe that Wang Wei has found a way to successfully break that barrier. After hearing this, Lin Fan's face became ugly. He remembered that barrier, however, he assumed that this was the limit that all cultivators could reach. However, this young master Wang Wei was not only unaffected by such a mindset, he actually created a way to accomplish such a thing deemed impossible by countless cultivators. Seeing his disciple's face, true monarch Qiujin sighed, then continued. Do not think that Wang Wei is the only person that you need to worry about. There is still the number 2 heavy axe physique, Crown Prince Ji Song. He seemed to have suffered at the hands of sacred son Wang Wei during the Spirit Road trial. However, according to the spy of the Academy, a supreme realm powerhouse of the Great Zhou dynasty used a powerful secret technique to rebuild his foundation for him. His foundation may not be too far from you who have refined the chaos chi. Supreme realm powerhouse, that's the same realm as teacher Qiujin, thought Lin Fan, whose face was becoming more and more ugly. In the eastern continent, two powerful heaven-chosen have appeared. One of them is the number 37 desires 6 emotions physique, Suya. She is currently the saintess of the Yin Moon Palace. Maybe you do not know about the Yin Moon Palace. This sect has cultivated 7 great emperors, and all of them were women. On top of that, all their great emperors had one thing in common. They all had the 7 desires 6 emotions physique. Another heaven-chosen was discovered by the sword-casting Villa. All the Academy knows at this time is the fact that he is called Jian Wushuang, and has an innate sword bone which is a talent on part with or even superior to the number 15 exquisite sword heart physique. Teacher Kajin saw some confusion on his disciple's face, so he explained, maybe you do not know what the exquisite sword heart physique means. Have you met the headmaster of the Academy? Lin Fan nodded his head. When he started cultivating, he did meet the headmaster through a long-distance communication formation. He gave him the feeling of being kind, benevolent, yet very powerful. The headmaster was a born sage of his generation. Although my cultivation is more powerful than his, even I respect him not only due his mind and bearing but also his strength. However, in the last generation, he was completely suppressed by the person with the exquisite sword heart physique. Oh, I forgot to mention that the person with this physique is called Wang Tian. He is currently the sect master of the Dao opening sect, and the father of Wang Wei. Lin Fan suddenly felt a heavy pressure weighing down on him. Then, cold sweat started falling down from his back. All of these scary guys are going to be his future opponent, and yet, he was happy to be able to suppress a bunch of the so-called geniuses from a small world. However, true monarch Qiujin was not over. In the western continent, there is a heaven chosen born with the power of reincarnation. Qiujin sighed. The Tao of reincarnation is one of the most powerful and mysterious Tao in existence. It is on par with the Tao of chaos, Tao of time, Tao of fate, and the Tao of dusk. And these are just the heaven chosen that have made an appearance so far. Many of them are still hiding and preparing to make their debut. So, my disciple, the path ahead of you is long and arduous. It's not time for you to be complacent yet. Upon hearing this, Lin Fan clenched his hands firmly and secretly made a decision. He will work 100 or 1,000 times harder, and will not lose to anyone. In the Myriad Emperor world, Central Chilan continent, Heavenspan domain, Dao opening sect, Wang Clan mountain. Wang Wei was looking at his father holding a stick with a smile on his face. His mouth twitched as he thought about what was about to happen. Wang Wei spent more than a month learning the proper breathing method of the ancient desolate body refining scripture. After that, he started to inject spiritual qi inside his skin to refine it. However, after more than 3 months, he found that the speed of the refinement was quite abysmal. As such, he asked his father if there were a better and faster way to cultivate the scripture, and he received a positive answer. And now, here he was. Wang Tian was indeed in a good mood. As a father, one of his biggest regrets was the fact that he never had the chance to spank his son. After all, who can blame him? His son was basically perfect. When he was a baby, he rarely cried for no reason. He only did so when to notify his wife, when he was hungry, or when he had to go to the potty. By the time he was 3 months old, he could speak properly like an adult. As a child prodigy, his son never misbehaved, which never provided Wang Tian a chance or reason to properly spank him. Wang Tian sighed. He remembered long ago when he was a kid, his father would spank him almost every day, forcing him to practice his sword. Thousands of years later, he could still remember the pain in his, but after these spankings. Wang Tian remembered that after taking these beating, he swore to eventually enact his revenge on his father, one way or another. But when he realized that it would probably take a very long time to be a worthy match for his father, he swore that his son would taste the pain of having his butt whipped. Unfortunately, he never had the opportunity until today. Of course, he is just hitting his son to help him increase the speed of refining his skin. However, Wang Tian will still take this as a win and enjoy every moment of it. Wang Wei, on the other end, could probably guess what his father was thinking. He had heard countless times that his old man complained about the fact that he did have the chance to give him a proper spanking. After sighing, Wang Wei motioned for his father to begin. Wang Tian, with a unique stick in his hand, started hitting his son in different parts of the body. Each stick hits a specific part of the skin, allowing the spiritual qi in heaven and earth to enter the skin and make it stronger and more powerful. After many years, the Tao opening sect has studied and developed the ancient desolate body refining scripture thoroughly. Countless capable predecessors have developed ways to increase the speed of cultivating this scripture and to ensure a higher chance of cultivating it. "Father, why did you not cultivate the ancient desolate body refining scripture?" asked Wang Wei while being hit. This level of pain was nothing to him. "That's because I dedicated my life to the way of the sword. My body and soul are the sword. I do not need a powerful body. As a sword cultivator, I pursue the extreme way of attack. If one day I met an opponent that my sword could not cut, then a powerful defense is meaningless to me." After hearing this, Wang Wei sighed and shook his head. Although he respected the swordsman's extreme pursuit, he did not agree with it. He believed that only by being well-rounded is the true way to become a top powerhouse. Furthermore, he has read too many novels from his past life and knows that a powerful body is always crucial in the later stage of cultivation. As such, whether it is his cultivation, his soul, and his body, he will train them to the highest level possible. And with his talent, he believed he could do so. After being beaten all day, Wang Wei had to wash in a special medicinal bath. This bath was made with very particular medicinal herbs. Then, the process of being beaten and taking medicinal baths repeated itself over and over again. This process lasted for more than 9 months. Sect Master Wang Tian enjoyed every bit of these past months. He was always in a joyful mood and became quite reluctant when the process finally ended. However, his happy mood did not last long, as his son soon teamed up with his wife to take revenge on him. After these past 9 months, Wang Wei reached the bare minimum standard to proceed to the next step. He took a flying talisman and headed to the body refining secret realm. Without even showing any token, the elder guarding the entrance instantly recognized the young sect master and allowed him entrance to the first floor. On this floor, Wang Wei saw countless wind blades traveling all over the entire room. It was like there were countless flying slashes of a powerful swordsman randomly flying in the room. After a brief look, he continued deep into the room. As Wang Wei walked deeper in the first floor of this secret realm, he saw countless disciples also refining their bodies. Some used their origin qi to block the wind, while others used their own body. The outer layer of the first floor did not have much effect on him. If it was a year ago, maybe he would have to also use his origin qi as a defensive means. Now his skin was quite powerful, well, at least compared to the past. In the middle of the first floor, there was actually a very large cyclone. The wind in the room was constantly rotating clockwise. At the center of this cyclone, there were countless sitting cushions. Many disciples sat there with nothing but their underwear to cultivate. However, some cushions were covered by an impenetrable fog. Without hesitation, Wang Wei took a seat. No one paid attention to him, as they were all busy cultivating on their own. As soon as he sat down, Wang Wei found himself in a separated space from all the other disciples. He could guess that this was a formation method used to prevent each disciple from bothering the other. No wonder no one paid attention to him when he arrived. After entering his separate space, Wang Wei found himself squeezed in the middle of many wind blades whose purpose was to cut him into countless thin slices of ham. His skin did not last more than 30 seconds before it was cut open and he began to bleed. Blood overflowed all over his robe, staining it red. Wang Wei then realized why all the other disciples were in their underwear. As such, he also took off his robe. Without hesitation, Wang Wei used the breathing method of the scripture. Vast amount of spiritual qi entered his skin and repaired the damage done by the wind blades. This process was quite excruciating for most people. In the process of constantly being cut and healed, his skin became more powerful, tougher, and resistant. It also gains a natural buoyancy. After 3 months, the process was completed. The rotation of the wind could no longer cut open Wang Wei's skin. As such, he moved deeper into the inner layer of the secret realm. There, Wang Wei also saw various wind blades, but the difference was that these ones were actually black. He knew that this was a special wind existing between heaven and earth known as black gold wind. It is essentially wind imbued with the characteristics of one of the 5 elements, the sharpness of the golden element. Looking around, Wang Wei noticed only a handful of disciples in the inner layer of this floor, especially the foggy spaces. Without saying anything, he went to a designated place, took off his clothes, and began the refining process again. This time, the process was harder and more painful than previously. The black wind seemed to have the ability to enter every single inch of Wang Wei's skin and destroy it from the inside. The process was like having a million ants munching on every single tissue or cell in the human skin. It was itchy and painful at the same time. Wang Wei used his breathing method to heal his bleeding skin, however, the black wind seemed to be stubborn and refused to exit his body. He groaned in pain and continued the process. He knew that the breathing method was not only used to inject spiritual qi into his skin, it also served as a way to refine the black wind into his skin, thus not only increasing his defensive ability, but also increased its regenerative ability. As he refined more black winds, his skin became tougher and the pain diminished. The process took Wang Wei another 9 months. After which, he was finally prepared for the final and most important step in cultivating the ancient desolate body refining scripture. After exiting the body refining secret realm, Wang Wei headed back to his cultivation room, holding a copper-like material in his hand. He looked at it and sighed. He knew that the moment of truth was coming, the moment that decided whether he was talented enough to actually practice this scripture. Although Wang Wei was always confident of himself, after all, anything is impossible in this cultivating world. Maybe he was not compatible with the ancient desolate body refining scripture. The material in the hands of Wang Wei was called deep copper, and it was a very rare supreme tier material used for refining magical weapons. The purpose of him having it is to actually blend the material into his skin. The hardest part of cultivating the ancient desolate body refining scripture is not the breathing method or the skin refining with wind blades. Although the special breathing method is hard to learn, and it is quite painful to refine the skin with the power of winds, there were still myriads of people talented enough to finish these 2 steps. However, the most difficult process was how to absorb the material into the body. Wang Wei took a long breath and entered a deep state of meditation. He focused all of his mind and spirit into the deep copper. Wang Wei did not know how long passed, but suddenly he felt a weird fluctuation from the deep copper. He became happy as he knew that he had finally found the Tao breath of the deep copper. After taking a few minutes to calm himself down, he used the method in the ancient desolate body refining scripture that allowed his body to imitate the same breath from the deep copper. Soon afterwards, Wang Wei discovered that the copper had disappeared and was crawling inside his skin. Wang Wei clenched his teeth. This process was more painful than he imagined. Compared to this, the pain he felt when every inch of his skin was burned in the 6th layer of hell was nothing but child play. What's worse is the fact that the pain did not last for a just brief period. No, it lasted what felt like an eternity. When the process was over, Wang Wei learned that it took him more than 3 years to find the Tao breath of the deep copper and for it to enter his skin. Wang Wei then looked around the room. There were more than 100 pieces of shed skins lying down on the floor. From the shape of them, he knew that they belonged to him. He then looked at his own skin. Wang Wei thought it would turn copper in color, but it was the opposite. His skin became even more white and smooth than it originally was. He could guess how many women would envy his skin complexion and probably kill to have a similar one. Wang Wei then took out a top-level profound tier sword. Without hesitation, he slashed down with tremendous force on his left hand. Clink! With the sound of metal clashing, the profound tier sword bounced back from Wang Wei's skin. It did not even leave a trace. This meant that divine altar cultivators cannot harm him with his powerful defense. After the first test, Wang Wei took out a low-level earth-tier weapon. After slashing his left arm, a deep mark resembling a sharp object trying to cut off leather armor was left there. After a few seconds, the mark healed and disappeared. Wang Wei then placed the tip of the sword on his arm, then pushed it down with force. After resisting for more than a minute, his skin was pierced and started bleeding. However, after a few minutes, the wound was completely healed and his skin returned to being as smooth as polished jade. Just refining the skin gave me a defense comparable to the supernatural realm, muttered Wang Wei. After his first success in cultivating the ancient desolate body refining scripture, he did not stop there. Without much rest, he started to refine his muscles. Inside his cultivating room, Wang Wei was holding a gigantic cauldron above his head while he did squats in the horse position. Sweats were constantly dripping down his body. This magical cauldron seemed to be able to determine the highest level of weight he could bear and slightly increase the weight so that Wang Wei would reach his absolute limits. Furthermore, without reaching his limits, Wang Wei discovered that it was impossible for him to put the cauldron down. Wang Wei started to use another special breathing method to refine his muscles while bearing the weight of the cauldron. Luckily for him, he did not need assistance this time around, as the sect developed a way to use origin chi to assist in refining the muscles. Every day, Wang Wei would lift weight for about 20 hours until he broke his limits countless times. Then he would spend an hour taking a medicinal bath to recover his body, then slept for the remaining 3 hours. At the end of the day, Wang Wei would be extremely tired and panting like a dog dying out of exhaustion. This strict and methodical process lasted for more than 2 years. Fortunately for Wang Wei, as a cultivator, all he needed was 2 to 3 hours of rest to get back in peak shape spiritually. Unfortunately, his body cannot be said to be the same. Every morning, he has to wake up with extremely sore muscles. Breaking his limits every single day had a terrible toll on his body. If it was not due to the medicinal baths, he might have long turned into a crippled, or at the worst, used his lifespan to make up for it. Nevertheless, despite all the hardships, Wang Wei still insisted. And now, he has reached the standard to begin the next process. After spending half a month relaxing his nerves, Wang Wei headed to the body refining secret realm. This time, he entered the second floor, the lightning and thunder floor. There were countless different types of thunder on this floor. The deeper the floor, the more powerful and destructive the thunder was. This time Wang Wei headed straight for the inner layer without pausing. The reason he did that was to speed up the muscle refining process. Just refining his skin took him more than 5 years. On top of that, the preparation for his muscles took him another 2 years. And the process was so short only because of the purity and strength of his origin chi. He did not want the second process to take longer than necessary. In the inner layer of the second floor, Wang Wei saw a purple river with lightning and thunder flashing on top of it. He knew that the entire river was actually made up of liquefied thunder and lightning. He remembered that this purple thunder was known as purple blessing thunder. As the name implies, as long as someone survives the destructive power of this thunder, they will receive certain blessings. It was quite similar to heavenly tribulation. Ignoring the other disciples bathing in different parts of the river, Wang Wei took out his robe and jumped deep into the river, a decision he soon regretted. "Fuck," said Wang Wei immediately after entering the river. The pain was so intense this time that he could not help but curse out loud. In fact, if it was not due to his proper education, he would have said countless more vulgar things. Wang Wei had to experience the pain of all of his 600 muscles being destroyed and regrowing again, over and over. What is even worse was the fact that the pain was instantaneous and without a single pause. As such, for the first time in many years, Wang Wei had to scream due to the pain. Luckily for him, he was underwater and no one could tell that he was screaming. In the process, his muscles became tougher, more dense and more elastic. He could feel his strength growing at an alarming rate, even faster than when he had to do intense weight training. Another benefit was the fact that as time passed, Wang Wei discovered that he could perfectly control every single muscle fiber in his body. The refining process took 8 years this time. Almost a decade. However, Wang Wei was still satisfied with this speed. He looked at the purple river and sighed. Wang Wei wished that he could use divine punishment thunder to refine his muscle instead. The benefits he would receive are unimaginable. However, he knew that would be suicidal. Even a tiny portion of divine punishment thunder could kill him if he did not have the proper method. However, Wang Wei did mind too much. He still has a chance in the future when he becomes more powerful. After exiting the secret realm, Wang Wei headed back to his cultivation room. This time he was holding a stack of bronze material. This ore, who was in the same level of the deep copper, was known as innate bronze. It was also an extremely rare refining material used to refine magical weapons or puppets. After spending another 5 years, Wang Wei managed to find the Tao breath of the innate copper and absorbed it into his muscles. The process was also excruciatingly painful. For a defensive test, Wang Wei took out a middle-lever earth-tier sword to check. After the sword pierced his skin, it was blocked by his powerful and dense muscles. No matter how much force he used, the sword could not pass through his muscles. Even if a few of them were cut, they would immediately grow back. Right now, Wang Wei could easily defend against divine body realm cultivators. Wang Wei then headed to the training room next door. There he gathered his whole body strength and threw a punch. He did not use his origin chi, just pure physical punch. With this punch, the sound of a cannonball exploded in the room. Bang! A powerful force traveled from Wang Wei's body while ignoring air pressure and friction, and hit the wall of the training hall. The wall shook and began to shake. The ground started to make spider web-like cracks due to the sheer force exerted by this punch. If it was not the formations who activated in time, the entire room would have been blasted off. Wang Wei grinned as he could tell that this punch was way more powerful than his dragon sovereign fist. With this punch only, he exuded more than 10 million gene, 5 million kilograms of pure force. With pure physical strength alone, he could single out most divine body realm cultivators. Not to mention he still has his origin chi. Throughout the past 20 years, Wang Wei did not stop cultivating. In this divine altar, there were about 112 divine veins inscribed. Which means that he had already entered the middle of the divine altar realm. After exiting his training room, Wang Wei saw his head maid, Wang Ju, waiting for him outside. A happy smile appeared on his face as he greeted her. Wang Ju, it is good to see you back from your seclusion. Did you successfully break through the divine body realm? Wang Ju bowed politely as usual and answered, yes, young master. With the help of the sect, I was able to be successful in my breakthrough. After hearing this, Wang Wei frowned instead of being happy. From what I know, cultivators in your realm can spend hundreds of years in retreat. And you came out after only a few decades. Are you sure everything is fine? You don't need to worry, young master. The sect took me to a special secret realm that sped up my practice in order to finish early and come helping out. In fact, Wang Ju lied. She had to use a secret technique in order to sacrifice her lifespan to make such a fast breakthrough. However, she did not mind. She knows her talent very well. Although she is confident to one day enter the supreme realm, she knows that she could never keep up in terms of cultivating speed when it comes to these heaven-chosen that are destined to fight for the heaven mandate. And if she cannot keep up with the young master, the sect will be more than happy to replace her with someone else that could. As for her missing lifespans, she did really care about it. As long as the young master managed to prove the Tao, the benefits she will receive far outweigh the things she sacrificed. Since Wang Ju said everything was fine, Wang Wei placed the topic behind him. After all, the sect was very powerful and had a deep foundation. It is not unheard of for them to have such a secret realm. So, what brings you here today, Wang Ju? I've come to remind the young master that the time for the trial is approaching. Is it already time? Yes. As the young master is aware, when a cultivator steps into the supernatural realm, he will receive a random innate talent, and the degree of power of said talent is based on a person's chi luck. As such, it is necessary for the young master's chi luck to turn purple gold before acquiring your own innate talent. What is this trial about? This trial requires that the young master heads toward the lower plane and sets up a fortune dynasty, cultivating kingdom. Then blend your own chi luck with the luck of the entire dynasty. Using a certain secret method, the young master can absorb part of the dynasty's luck without being too affected by karma. Oh, that's kind of interesting. Do you know any information on what plane this trial will take place in? If it was before, I would answer positively. But now, the trial has changed. The Great Wu Imperial Dynasty discovered a new plane that has been in chaos for countless years. They invited many factions of the central continent to use it as this time's trial. How long do I have to prepare? About 5 years, young master. That's plenty of time. Did someone notify Li Jun and Yan Liling? Yes, they have already received the news and are now preparing. That's good. I'm looking forward to the next challenge ahead. After sending Wang Ju away, Wang Wei started thinking about the upcoming trial and its importance to him entering the next cultivating realm. The supernatural realm is a great milestone for cultivators of the origin system. This was the realm that separated or elevated practitioners from being lowly martial artists to being immortal cultivators that can destroy mountains and move rivers. In the past, this realm was oftentimes also called transcending mortality realm. As the name implied, this was the realm in which cultivators no longer considered themselves mortals. After all, who can blame them? In the supernatural realm, cultivators can easily fly in the air. They have opened their divine senses, granting them a sixth sense-like ability. And they can use all kinds of weird, crazy, and powerful spells. And for Wang Wei, this realm also has a greater significance for him because the supernatural realm is when his and all the other heaven-chosen's heavenly physiques start to awaken. Each person with a heavenly physique will be granted an innate talent tailored to their special physiques. This is one of the reasons that people with special physiques are way more powerful than ordinary cultivators in the early stages. After thinking about all of these things, Wang Wei began to plan how he is going to spend the next few years. He knew that he did not have enough time to refine his bones next. In fact, there probably was not enough time to even begin the early stage of preparation. As such, he decided to place his time studying things like weapon refining, formation, and talismans. Previously, he had to stop studying due to the fact that he was busy cultivating. Now that he had enough time, he planned to continue. In fact, all these occupations have one thing in common in this world: divine runes. Divine runes are used basically in all of these lucrative occupations, whether it is to refine pills, talismans, or formations. The only difference between them is the type and number of runes used. Things like pills and talismans often use the least number of runes, while formation and weapon refining used a lot of them. Of course, there are exceptions to this rule. As such, Wang Wei decided to continue studying divine runes while practicing his craft. This time, he decided to focus on weapon refining, especially puppet making. Recently, Wang Wei has been quite interested in puppets. It may have to do with the fact that his heavenly physique has the name puppeteer in it. As for the countless resources used for practice, well, one thing he never lacked is resources. With just a word, someone will bring the material he needs. The truth of the matter is there is another reason that Wang Wei insisted on learning these side occupations. He wanted to diversify his ability as a precaution in case he needed it to survive. Wang Wei is a very cautious person by nature. He always wants to plan for the worst-case scenario ahead of time. And the reason he decided to study these occupations is that if one day he met an opponent that managed to counter all of his abilities, whether it is his cultivation level, his powerful fleshly body, or even his mysterious soul. In that case, he could still use formation or talismans to continue to fight. Or if one day he encounters a situation where his regenerative power stops working, then he could refine some pills to heal him. Wang Wei did not want to be like the transmigrators from his previous life that relied solely on luck to survive. With the knowledge of these occupations, the possibilities are endless for Wang Wei. As such, he will always be adequate to handle any kind of situation. Soon, 7 summers had blossomed. And the time for the trial had arrived. Wang Wei and Wang Ju were standing outside of the Wang clan mansion, waiting for Li Jun, Yan Liling and true monarch Yan Chen. After a few minutes, Li Jun accompanied by Yan Liling showed up with 5 people standing behind them. Upon seeing these people, Wang Wei could feel a terrible slaughter aura emanating from them. Which means that these 5 people have killed countless people to have such a fiendish aura. Wang Wei also realized that some of these 5 people were actually part of Li Jun, subordinate he met in the Spirit Road trial. These people are, asked Wang Wei. Big brother, these are General number 1, number 2, and number 5. Wang Wei then looked up and down at these people. He could tell that Li Jun did not use the real names of these people as a tactical form of training, forcing them to work extremely hard to earn his acknowledgement and get their real name back. This is a ruthless way of training. Stripping the participants of their entire identities and forcing them to regain it back through hard work and excellent performance. Wang Wei nodded in satisfaction with Li Jun's training method. With the aid of these 5 people, a lot of pressure from this trial will be lifted from his shoulder. After a few minutes, true monarch Yan Chen showed up with a smile on his face and said, "Young sect master, are you ready?" "Yes, Supreme Elder. However, I wonder why the preparations took longer than expected." "Well, the place the trial is taking place is in fact a lower thousand world. As such, technically speaking, the highest level of power allowed is the divine altar realm. However, given the fact that some heaven-chosens like yourself have a higher battle strength than their actual cultivation level, we had to refine the world to be able to withstand a battle of that caliber without destroying it." Wang Wei's eyes lit up when he heard this. It's good to be able to fight without reservation. After this brief conversation, true monarch Yan Chen took out a void boat. However, this one was actually quite small in comparison to the one Wang Wei used to attend the Spirit Road. After Wang Wei and his group entered the boat, Yan Chen wrapped the boat around with his origin essence, then waved his hand in the air. A crack in space appeared in front of him, and he entered it with the boat. After a brief moment, Wang Wei and his group found themselves floating in the endless void. It was all black with countless illuminating stars scattered all over. Beneath them, they saw 5 gigantic continents connected by massive oceans floating in the endless void. 1 moon and 1 sun mysteriously hung on top of the 5 masses of lands. A giant dome enveloped everything in sight. It seemed to be protecting everything or keeping it working properly. This was the myriad Emperor world. Although Wang Wei already guessed that this world was not actually a planet, he was still surprised when he saw it for the first time. What surprised him the most was the size of the entire world. According to his estimate, just 1 continent was probably the size of the entire solar system in his past life. And that was just the bare minimum estimate. After gawking for a few minutes, the groups started their journey again. True monarch Yan Chen waves his hand and opens a tunnel in the void. Then, he led the boat into the tunnel. Wang Wei was in awe of the power of the supreme realm. He could tell that this tunnel was actually a space channel that allowed them to travel great distances. And Supreme Elder Yan Chen could actually do this kind of thing with just a wave of his hand. Throughout the month-long journey in the tunnel, Wang Wei and his group could actually see a bunch of floating land masses in the void. These were actually worlds. And some of them, Wang Wei noticed that they were in fact like huge planets. One incident that happened during the journey was the fact that they were attacked by a gigantic beast which was easily killed by the Supreme Elder. According to Yan Chen, Wang Wei learned that the attacker was known as a void-eater beast. They are creatures born in the void with the power of space. They wandered in the endless void finding worlds to destroy and eat. According to information recorded in the sect, some of these void-eater beasts are powerful enough to fight, and even kill great emperors. When the group arrived at their destination, they exited the tunnel. True monarch Yenchen sighed and muttered, "Why is this world so far? If I had comprehended the law of space, I could have arrived in just an instant." Soon afterward, Wang Wei found himself floating in front of another mass of land. However, it seemed to not be separated, although there was still a vast ocean. As for the size, well, it was as large as a few domains in the myriad emperor world. This was the place where the trial would take place. "Are you all prepared?" asked Supreme Elder Yenchen. To which Wang Wei's group just nodded. Yenchen then looked at Wang Ju and said, "According to the agreement we made with the other factions, as a divine body realm cultivator, you have to seal your strength and not use it. I also have to warn you. Although this world's heavenly Tao, or it should be called world consciousness, is very low and weak, it still has the basic ability to identify intruders. It will not react if you enter the world, but if you use the cultivation realm beyond the divine altar, it can still exile you from its inside." After warming Wang Ju, Yenchen opened another crack, and sent the group inside this lower thousand world to begin their trial. A few minutes after sending the group inside, Yenchen heard a roar echoing in the void. "Yenchen, your Tao opening sect is damn. Come to receive your death." True monarch Yenchen looked in the direction of the voice. His eyes pierced the void and saw an old man wearing an imperial crown and gown with 3 multicolored dragons on them. "Isn't it retired Prince Ji Chong?" said Yenchen with a nonchalant smile. "I have not seen you for quite some time. By the way, what do you mean by coming to receive death? When did our Tao opening sect offended you?" Soon true monarch Ji Chong arrived in front of Yenchen. His eyes were cold and snorted indifferently. "His Majesty and Ji Xiong might swallow their loss for what you people did, not my great-nephew, but I won't. One of you has to pay." "Your great-nephew?" asked Yenchen, then he seemed to remember something. "Oh, you mean Crown Prince Ji Xiong. This thing happened decades ago, why are you still bringing up old news? You almost killed him and ruined his foundation forever," roared Ji Chong. "Well, from what I remember, this was a fight between the younger generations and your great-nephew lost fair and square. He should be happy that he was left alive. What's more, isn't he all fine now?" True monarch Ji Chong's eyes became more cold when he heard this. He did not say anything, but a tall figure appeared behind him. The figure was more than 900,000 zhang high, and had a fiendish aura emitting from it. His face was quite ugly with red skins and 2 rows of sharp and pointy teeth. Upon seeing the figure, true monarch Yenchen's face changed and yelled, "Ji Chong, are you crazy? Do you really want to fight with this monarch?" However, the retired prince did not answer, and just looked at Yenchen with cold and bloodthirsty eyes. He was ready to attack at any moment. Seeing the seriousness of the situation, Yenchen knew that he could not avoid this fight. As such, a figure also appeared behind him. However, his figure was different from retired Prince Ji Chong's. It was the figure of a breathtakingly beautiful woman holding a bamboo sword. The woman exuded a very sharp sword intent that could destroy both heaven and earth. This figure was actually also more than 900,000 zhang, however, it was still taller than Ji Chong's. It was actually close to crossing the 1 million zhang line. After both of them were ready, they began to fight. Ji Chong roared out loud, "The Azura is often seen as a bloodthirst being whose sole purpose is to slaughter, but only a few know that it is also responsible for punishing the wicked and the damned. Now bear its punishment and burn forever in the pits of hell. Azura Hellfire." After saying this, he pointed his hand towards Yenchen, and the Azura behind him did the same movement. Following which, a dark-colored mini-sun appeared in the palm of the Azura. The temperature of the sun was so high that it started burning the void the moment it appeared. The space around Ji Chong began to twist, as the heat simply incinerated it. On top of that, countless screams and curses came out from it. It came from all the resentful souls that this fire had purged or punished. Soon afterward, the mini-sun rushed toward Yan Chan, wishing to purge his sinful soul. Despite such a long distance separating them, Yan Chan could feel that his body started melting by the heat. Even worse, the space around him became unstable, preventing him from escaping. What's more is the fact that this hellfire was also directly affecting his souls. He felt various voices entering his mind and admonishing him for all the cruelty he has done in his life, begging him to repent his sins. Yan Chan felt a terrible headache as he felt his primordial spirit burning. Without waiting for a moment, he also attacked. Heaven and earth is made up of the 5 elements, which are always in balance while alternating between yin and yang. And gold represents everything that is strong and sharp, just like my sword. Golden rushed. The woman behind Yan Chan swung her sword once. Then, countless golden swords manifested in the void, glimmering and illuminating the empty voids. Some worlds or stars thousands of light years away could see a bright light in the sky when they looked up. The golden swords rushed to the mini-sun. An explosion appeared when they came into contact, followed by a supernova-like explosion that destroyed anything that blocked its path. Many of the golden swords were extinguished in the explosion, but a few of them did not stop and rushed towards Ji Chang. Without hesitation, he threw another punch with his Azura. Another explosion appeared as they clashed, thus further destroying the void around them. The remaining swords were then destroyed. However, a few scales on the Azura came off. Without paying attention to this minor injury, Ji Chang and his Azura turned into a golden light and rushed towards Yan Chan. His speed was faster than light itself. The light always sends the darkness back to a corner, and it also always illuminates the sinful back to the righteous path. Come witness it, the light baptizement. Yan Chan's face changed as he felt a terrifying light power that wanted to forcibly bend his will and turn him into a pure person, making him want to dedicate the rest of his life doing good things for the world. Without hesitation, he used another powerful move. Heaven and earth are made of turbid chi, which represents the yin of the world. It is the embodiment and resting place of all that is negative, including darkness. The sword in my hand has only one purpose: darkness bending. Yan Chan and the woman then turned into a gigantic sword heading towards Ji Chang. The sword was all black, filled with countless creepy shadows flowing from it. In these shadows, you could see the most depraved act imaginable to human beings. Whether it was rape, murder of children, cannibalism, or torture for pleasure. This was just the tip of the icebergs. All the filth that exists between heaven and earth existed in this sword. And it was not just the filth that exists in the human's heart, but also physical filths. Anything that exists and considered filthy was included in this sword. After the two of them clashed, the shockwave they created spread out to countless worlds in the endless void. This shockwave did quite the number on the world closest to their fight, except for the one the trial took place. Some lower 1,000 worlds were even destroyed due to the clashes of the two of them. Meanwhile, after a breath confrontation, Ji Chang discovered that his light was beginning to be tainted. The light that was supposed to bring judgment of the wicked began to distort. The light no longer believed that the sins of the wicked can be saved. It believed that anyone who committed the tiniest of sins should be wiped out. Upon noticing this, Ji Chang's face changed and became ugly. Without much hesitation, he stopped his technique. However, soon afterward, he vomited a big mouthful of blood. He was backlashes for forcibly stopping his attack. Nevertheless, this was the least of his worries right now. Yan Chen's attack was still coming towards him. Ji Chang looked at the Azura protecting him from the attack, and removed it from the front. This thing was more important to him than his life. If he was injured, he could still find ways to heal. However, once the Azura was seriously injured, the amount of time and resources he will need to heal are incalculable. All of Ji Chang's thoughts happened in just a brief moment. Without having enough time to act, he took out a talisman from his space ring and crushed it. A barrier appeared around him as a form of protection. However, this barrier only lasted a few seconds under Yan Chen's swords before being destroyed. Meanwhile, the dark swords pierced Ji Chang's body, pushing him flying countless light years away. On his way, Ji Chang's body hit countless asteroids, destroying them without much effort. His Azura had already disappeared. He continued to vomit both blood and pieces of his internal organs, as the sword did quite the number on his inside. However, Ji Chang did not care about his injury. To a person at his level, this kind of injury can barely be counted as a medium level of injury. What worried him the most was the fact this sword seemed to be the antithesis of his Tao of Judgment. The black sword has contaminated his soul, and made it dirty and filthy. Ji Chang was fighting to prevent the filth in his soul from spreading. Which means he did not pay attention to where he flew to. Soon, Ji Chang's body entered a world and crashed into the ocean like a meteor. The force in which his body hit the water created a massive tsunami that destroyed everything in its path. Both mortals and cultivators alike were shocked when they saw a 10,000-meter ocean wave enveloping them without any warning. Billions of mortals and cultivators died by drowning. Countless cities, sects, and dynasties were washed away by the sudden flood. Only a few powerful cultivators at the site of impact managed to survive. The entire world trembled for days following the impact. This world suffered such a catastrophe only because of one cultivator. Luckily for the people, this world was a greater thousand world, otherwise they would have faced the possibility of extinction. As for true monarch Yan Chen, he also threw a mouthful of blood after the last attack. The image behind him then disappeared. He took out a bunch of flags from his space ring, and installed a powerful formation in the void. Countless circular patterns with weird drawings appeared around him. The patterns lit up and surrounded Yan Chen, protecting him. Afterwards, he took out a bunch of pills from his space ring, and stuffed them into his mouth, sat cross-legged in the void and started healing. In front of a plain known as the Warring Kingdom world, many other true monarchs stood in the void while discussing and commenting on the battle between Yan Chen and Ji Chang. One of them complained, "Are these guys crazy? Don't they know that even the shockwave of their fight is enough to destroy the plane that our heaven-chosens are taking their trials in?" "Well, isn't the world fine?" commented another voice. However, these two guys seemed to be fighting for real, especially Ji Chang. He even took out his Dharma body without hesitation, forcing Yan Chen to do the same. "TSK, I don't think so." Although Ji Chang looked like a brute who only acted on impulse, don't forget that he also grew up in a dynasty full of schemes and intrigues. Didn't you see that he did not even use his supreme tier magical weapon? So that's how it is. He uses the name of revenge to teach the people of the Tao opening sect a lesson without totally offending them. Unfortunately, he hit his foot with an iron rod this time. He did not expect Yan Chen to cultivate the heaven-slashing scripture to such a high and profound level. Especially that last strike, it seemed to be the nemesis of his Tao of Judgment. Speaking of the heaven-slashing scripture, I cannot stop marveling at its creator, the Sword Empress. The Sword Empress was indeed a legendary emperor. With the body of a female, she suppressed all her generation with one bamboo sword in her hand, and became the second emperor of the ancient era. And the scripture she created was indeed powerful. Using everything between heaven and earth as a sword. Then slash heaven itself to escape its shackles and limitations. The Tao opening sect is indeed lucky as an emperor lineage. First there was the Sword Empress, then they had the absolute sword, Wang Tian. Hopefully, they won't have another Wang Wei. After saying this, the true monarchs stopped talking for a while. Although they were of an older generation, they had to watch their descendants being completely suppressed by one man with a sword in his hand. And what's even worse is the fact that in this generation, there are signs that indicate that another heaven-defying heaven-chosen was slowly growing up in the Tao opening sect in this generation. After a few minutes of silence, another person said, "It seemed that Yan Chen took a different path in his cultivation of the heaven-slashing scripture. He seemed to focus more on the Tao of gold and the 5 elements." Well, it makes sense. As a supreme realm cultivator, it's normal to have his own path and focus. If he was totally bound by an emperor's scripture, he would never reach the realm he is currently at. Unfortunately, like us, he did not totally escape. If he did, He would be the one fighting for the heaven's will in that generation instead of Wang Chong. The Wang family's luck seemed to be endless. Each generation they always have a genius that can represent them on the world stage. Meanwhile, inside the Warring Kingdom world, Wang Wei and his groups were teleported inside. After a few minutes of dizziness, Wang Wei found himself in an open plain. After looking around, he frowned deeply. How can the spiritual qi be so low, complained Li Jun. This was the same feeling many of them had. What do you expect from a lower thousand world, responded Yan Liling. After looking around, the group headed in one direction, trying to find a town or city to gather basic information of where they were and how this world operated. Not long after leaving their landing spot, Wang Wei's group saw a cultivator using an earth escape technique to travel in one direction. The cultivator seemed to blend with the earth, and with each step, he traveled underground instantly and appeared a few hundred meters away. The first thing that Wang Wei noticed about this cultivator was the fact that this cultivator was in the divine sea realm. More importantly, he was using the origin system as a cultivating path. Then an information he had read about in the sect's library suddenly appeared in his mind. The information was about how the majority of worlds in the community that revolved around the myriad emperor world also used the origin system. Then it dawned on Wang Wei. He realized that his ancestor, Emperor Qiyuan, was not a simple person. He did not just spread the origin path only to the myriad emperor world, but to the majority of worlds in the community. Heck, he might even spread it to the other world's community. Young master, should we capture this cultivator and ask for direction? Suddenly asked Wang Ju. Wang Wei shook his head and said, there is no need for that. Just follow the direction he went. The reason that Wang Wei decided not to capture this cultivator was due to the spell he used. This is a lower thousand world, and yet this cultivator is using such a powerful spell in the divine sea realm. This can only mean that his background is not simple. In fact, Wang Wei was not scared of this person's background. With his strength, he feared no one in this world. However, he just arrived in this world and did not have any knowledge or information about the distribution of power in this plane. He feared that he might offend some sect or family for trivial matters, then they combined together and forcibly exiled him out of this world, effectively failing this trial. Despite deciding to be low-key, after a few minutes of trekking, the group encountered a bunch of bandits who stopped them. There were more than 20 of them, with one standing at the front. One of the bandits said to the one standing in the front, "Boss, look at the clothes of these people. I don't know what material they are made of, but they look expensive. Maybe we can kidnap them and ask their families for ransom." However, the boss did not immediately give the order to attack. The reason for that is the fact that he did not see even a hint of fear in those people's eyes. Only a look of playfulness, a look of a human looking in the ground at an ant that they can easily squash to death. He had seen this look many times before and did not like it. It made him feel small, and it reminded him of the greatest failure of his life. While the bandit boss was still pondering his next step of action, Li Jun motioned for General 5 to take action. Without hesitation, General 5 mobilized his origin chi and rushed towards the boss bandit and attacked. However, the bandit boss seemed to have anticipated the attack and escaped it with a swift movement. General 5 was quite surprised. In fact, not just him, everyone watching the attack were surprised. The reason for that was the fact that this person did not use blood chi to move. He was only using the strength of his body to move. Upon seeing this, General 5 decided to test the strength of this strange bandit boss. Just like the first attack, General 5 decided not to use all his strength and continued to test the abilities of this bandit. After evading the first attack, the bandit boss said, "Cultivator." General 5 looked up and down at this bandit, then asked, "You don't seem scared after knowing that we are cultivators. On the contrary, you seemed very excited." "Of course not. As a martial artist, it is my dream and goal to fight and kill powerful cultivators like you." "Martial art? Isn't that the method used by mortals who did not have a leakless body?" After hearing the word leakless body, the bandit boss secretly clenched his hand, and a hint of hatred flashed deep in his eyes before disappearing. Then he continued. After my last humiliation, I dedicated myself to martial arts until I developed my own intent. Now let's test my newfound strength with you. After saying this, the bandit boss took a deep breath, gathered all his body's strength, and punched toward General 5. Although this punch was a normal one, without any lights or vision appearing, General 5 felt like an explosion was happening in his mind, and he froze for a few seconds. Without making any response, the bandit boss punch soon arrived and hit General 5 in his stomach. With the force behind this punch, it is very likely that the general would be heavily injured. However, when the punch was about to hit, the origin chi inside General 5's divine chi automatically operated and protected him. After being hit, he woke up from his brief stupor and took more than 5 steps back before stopping. The bandit boss looked at the intact General 5, looked at his hand, then muttered, "After all these years, the gap is still so unsurpassable. Heaven is unfair, heaven is unfair." Meanwhile, Wang Wei and his group were again surprised by the bandit boss attack. As a mortal, he managed to push back a cultivator and one in the divine sea realm too. This fight has increased their understanding of mortals. What is the intent that this bandit spoke of? Is it the same intent of our world? Asked Yen Liling. No, it is not. Everyone turned their heads and looked at Wang Ju, hinting at her that she should explain the meaning of her words. In this world, due to the low level of spiritual chi, cultivators have a very difficult time entering the heaven and earth realm. As such, they develop the concept of intent, fist intent, sword intent, as a way to slowly cultivate their spirits until it reach the standard to enter the heaven and earth realm. Since intents are essentially a manifestation of the spirit, even mortals can technically cultivate it as well, given that their bodies are strong enough to bear it. After hearing this, Wang Wei immediately decided to learn this method of cultivating intent. Although this method is of no significance to him personally, he can still provide it to the sect and ensure that it becomes easier for the other disciples to enter the divine altar realm in the future. Wang Wei smiled happily after making such a plan. He had just arrived in this world and already got some benefits. General 5 looked at the bandit boss with cold and ruthless eyes. Originally, he was intrigued by this guy's weird method of using his physical body, so he did not take the fight seriously. Who'd have expected that this guy would have such a strange method that affected the spirit? If it was not due to his origin chi, he would have suffered an even worse defeat. Yes, to General 5, being pushed back by a mortal is considered a humiliating defeat. What is even worse was the fact that General 5 was humiliated in front of his boss. No, to be precise, he was humiliated in front of his boss. With a lot of anger, General 5 rushed towards the bandit boss. This time he did not reduce his strength and went all out. The bandit boss again used his explosion fist intent with a powerful punch. However, General 5 was prepared this time. He just mobilized part of his origin chi into his brain, essentially neutralizing the effect of the fist intent. With a crack, General 5 broke the bandit boss' right hand. The boss screamed in pain, however General 5 ignored him. Without much hesitation, he broke the other hand of the bandit and both his legs. Although General 5 was angry, he knew that his main purpose was to gather information from the bandit boss, so he just crippled him, and did not immediately kill him. The boss bandit lied in the ground with all his limbs either broken or twisted into different directions, and the pain was unbearable. He could guess the reason that these people kept him alive. However, he refused to be humiliated a second time by cultivators. He looked at General 5 and Wang Wei's group with deep hatred in his eyes. Then without hesitation, he bit his tongue. Blood overflowed over his clothes, then after a few minutes of constant bleeding, he died. However, somehow, despite his mutilated tongue, he still had a smile on his face. General 5 looked at the dead bandit boss with surprise and anger on his face. He walked over and bowed to the group. "Young Master Wang Wei, young Master Li Jun, I have failed my tasks. Please punish me." Wang Wei looked at the bandit boss on the floor, then he patted General 5's shoulder. You do not need to worry about such trivial things. It is obvious that this bandit boss had a story. After saying that, he walked over to the remaining 20 bandits, passing over the body of the bandit boss on the floor. With just one look of Wang Wei, the 20 bandits felt a vast pressure coming over them. They immediately knelt in the ground while cold sweat ran down their backs. I'm gonna ask this just once. Where is the direction of the closest city? After just a few seconds, one bandit could not bear the pressure and told the group the information they needed. Wang Wei nodded in satisfaction, then he ordered General 5. Kill all the other ones and leave the one that spoke first as a guide. Without hesitation, General 5 easily massacred the remaining bandits. The process went smoothly as none of them knew any martial art. As for General 5, he was more than happy to do the dirty work. In fact, he was grateful to Wang Wei for providing him a chance to redeem his mistake. There were currently only 5 generals under young Master Li Jun. And currently, he was the weakest one. If he did not perform well then, Lieutenant number 1 to number 10 would be more than happy to take his title of General 5. The group took more than 5 days traveling before reaching their destination, the Clear Sky City. The journey could have been faster. Unfortunately, Wang Ju is not allowed to use her cultivation level to fly. As a last resort, Wang Wei wanted to tame a demonic beast, hopefully a flying one, as a transportation means. However, the bandit guide told him that the distance to the closest herds of demonic beast was even further than the city they were heading to. Luckily for this group, midway through their journey, they encountered another group of bandits that had many horses. After arriving at the city, Wang Wei paid a few gold taels for entrance fee, and reserved the most expensive rooms at the best inn available. However, his lavish spending was noticed by countless people with ulterior motives. In order not to cause himself trouble, Wang Wei released a powerful aura that covered the entire city, effectively scaring anyone who had any ideas about their group. The next day, the city lord came to visit Wang Wei personally. After a brief chat, the group got a little information about the city and the surrounding area. However, Wang Wei did not talk too long with the city lord, as he did not want him to realize that they did not know anything about this world. Soon, the group spent half a month in Clear Sky City. Wang Ju, who had disappeared after the first day, returned bringing a beautiful and charming woman with her. Inside the room, Wang Wei, Li Jun, Yan Liling, Wang Ju and the charming woman were having a discussion. The charming woman slightly bowed and said, "Su Ai has seen young Master Wang Wei." Su Ai? Where have I heard this name before? After hearing this question, 3 tails suddenly appeared behind Su Ai. Suddenly, Wang Wei remembered where he heard that name. "You are the young matriarch of the Fox Demon clan." Su Ai bowed again and responded, "That's me. I would like to personally thank young Master Wang Wei for saving our Fox Demon clan." "You do not need to thank me. I just provided your clan with an opportunity. If your matriarch did not have the courage to defy the demon royal family and move the entire race, then it would be pointless for me to invite her." "Young master, you may be right. However, in most situations, a single opportunity is more valuable than everything else. Well, you can disperse with the ceremonies. What brought you here to this plane?" At this time, Wang Ju started to explain. The elders of the sect feared that the Great Wu Imperial dynasty would not fight fair in this trial, so they wanted to secretly send someone here in advance to scoop information. At first, it was supposed to be me who came. However, the young matriarch contacted the sect and said that she wanted to repay the favor of saving their clan. Due to her powerful charm ability, the sect believed that she would be the perfect person to gather information and chose her instead. After knowing the gist of everything, everyone nodded and looked at Su Ai. She smiled and opened a map from her space ring. The elders were right to be worried about the people of the Great Wu Imperial dynasty. After saying this, she pointed in the middle of the map. The entire middle ground was divided into 3 parts which had different labels: Great Wu, Great Yi, Great Shu. These 3 kingdoms are the most prosperous and powerful of the entire warring kingdom world. For countless years, they have fought with each other, thus creating a stable balance like a three-legged tripod. However, the Great Wu dynasty was not always called like this. Its previous name was Great Wei. After saying this, Su Ai looked at Wang Wei, who just shrugged his shoulders. It is not his fault that his name is actually quite common. According to the information that I have received, both Crown Prince Sun Wen and Third Prince Sun Jiaolong of the Great Wu Imperial Dynasty have long entered the world before everything else. Crown Prince Sun Wen seemed to have made some kind of deal with the royal family of the Great Wei Dynasty. A few months after his arrival, the Great Wei Dynasty changed its name to Great Wu, and Su Wen was crowned emperor. Wang Wei nodded when he heard this. This was useful information. Crowning himself emperor, huh? The natives of this world may not know better. Doesn't this Sun Wen know the significance of this word? What about the other central dynasties? Any information? Yes, young master. All I currently know is that Crown Prince Ji Song has entered the army of the Great Yi dynasty. He seemed to want to take control over the military first before overthrowing the royal family. That's a good plan. Is his big brother with him? Yes, first Prince Jisoo served as his advisor in the army. Well, things make more sense now. With this guy's rash nature, if things were left up to him, he would probably fight the entire kingdom with his strength alone. After a brief ponder, Wang Wei continued to ask, what about the Great Shu dynasty? Unfortunately, the information I have is already limited, as they seem to anticipate the infiltration of foreign spies, and had preventive measures. All I know is the fact that someone was canonized as the dynasty's national teacher, and Taoism became the national religion of the entire Great Shu dynasty. I'm sorry, young master, that I could not gather more information. Wang Ju walked to her and patted her shoulder. You did more than enough in such a short period of time. Wang Ju is right, Miss Su Ai. The information you gathered is more than enough for us to get started. Well, thank you, young master Wang Wei. In fact, I could have gathered more information. Unfortunately, all of the cultivators of this world have powerful and tough spirits, making my charm less effective. Wang Wei did not blame Su Ai. The information she brought was more than enough. As such, he started to ask her about the other kingdoms in this world, while planning his next step of action. After reading the information regarding the majority of kingdoms in this world, he had a preliminary plan for their group's next actions. However, he needed to check something first. As such, he asked, is there a place where the three borders of these dynasties meet together? Yes, young master. Su Ai then took out a more detailed map and pointed to a place at the intersection of the three great dynasties. This city is called Intersection Point City. Well, it's not a very original name. However, as the name suggested, this city was designated as a free trading point by all three dynasties. The city lord will be changed every few years, alternating between them to choose who is elected to be in charge. Are we using this city as a starting point to attack one of the three dynasties? And which one are we attacking first? Asked Li Jun with a frown. However, Wang Wei shook his head. He was not that stupid to attack the most powerful empires in this world just like that, especially when there are other heaven chosens that have already planted their foundation in these places. I'm the only one headed to Intersection Point City because I need to check something out. I need you guys to head here and gather as much information as possible, said Wang Wei as he pointed to a kingdom all the way east of the central dynasties. Yen Liling, can you refine the Spirit Break Pill? Spirit Break Pill. That's a very rare high-level profound tier pill used by some cultivators to strengthen their spirits and increase their chances in entering the realm of heaven and earth. I do know the recipe. What about the materials? The materials are very common, and I should be able to find them in this world. The hard part of this pill is the runes needed to inscribe on them are very sensitive. A wrong mistake could turn the pill into a deadly poison that directly attacks the spirit. That's good. I need you to refine as many as possible to make sure that Su Ai entered the divine altar as soon as possible. After saying this, Wang Wei turned and looked at Su Ai. I'm assuming that you have created some sort of spy agency in this world. Yes, young master. In the past 5 years that I have been here, I created countless brothels and spread them all over the world. Through them, I can gather information from the highest of officials to common street beggars. Wang Wei frowned after hearing this. Su Ai upon noticing this thought of something and quickly explained. No, you misunderstood, young master. I did not create such a kind of brothel where women sold their bodies. No, I adopted many beautiful orphans or women who have lost everything due to war and famine. I used my illusion to teach them all kinds of abilities. Whether it was art, paintings, go, calligraphy, and the zither. All they do is drink, chat, and perform with customers. In fact, I even taught some of them with talent how to cultivate. As for those without talents, I taught them the martial arts of this world. Wang Wei nodded in satisfaction. Although Wang Wei does not consider himself a good person, as he could do almost everything for his goals, he also has a bottom line. And forcing women into prostitution's more than crossed that line. You did good, Miss Su Ai. All you need to focus on in the next few years is how to enter the divine altar realm and further increase your charming abilities. Wang Ju can take over your information agency. When you manage to break through, I can work together with you to revise the martial art cultivation of this method so that all the women under your command can have some charming abilities, even the mortal ones. That way, the brothels will become increasingly more popular, and it would be much easier for them to gather information. Soon after the meeting, the whole group separated. The majority of them headed for the eastern shore, while Wang Wei headed for Intersection Point City. The journey there took him about a month. And it would have taken far longer if not for the flying demonic beast that Su Ai gave to him. During this voyage, Wang Wei realized that transportation was going to be one of the main problems that he would have to deal with in this world. After entering the Intersection Point City, Wang Wei had to put on the aura of a cultivator not to cause himself trouble. Ever since he entered the 13th layer of the body refining realm, his aura had disappeared, and he looked like an ordinary person. So he often has to purposely release his aura. Wang Wei did not like the whole concept of a tiger hiding as a sheep. If you are a tiger, why do you need to hide? Many of his fellow traversers like to be low-key, then when some random guy humiliates them for being weak, then they face-slap them by showing their true power. The whole thing seemed pointless to Wang Wei. All of this nonsense could be avoided just by showing a little bit of aura, so why waste so much time? Don't these traversers have anything better to do with their life? To him, the reason that they behaved in such a way is because they like having their massive ego stroke, just like a woman massaging their balls. After entering the city, Wang Wei rested for a while. In fact, he was quite surprised. During his whole journey, he saw fighting everywhere he went. Different kingdoms are constantly fighting each other, different sects or martial arts school are also in turmoil. Wang Wei finally understood why this plane was called Warring Kingdom World. However, the Intersection Point City was surprisingly very peaceful, well, at the very least, peaceful compared to the rest of the world. Throughout the day, all suspicious activities in this city were suspended. All cultivators and martial artists followed the law. However, at night, they immediately turned into hyenas that have not eaten anything for months. Tonight, Wang Wei was finally about to do what he came to this city for. After easily killing a few cultivators who liked to throw away their lives, he mobilized the spiritual qi around him and floated 1,000 meters in the air. However, he almost felt countless times in the process. Damn this world and its low level of spiritual qi, muttered Wang Wei under his breath. When he reached a certain height and managed to steady himself in the air, he activated his vision and looked in the direction of the Great Wu dynasty. There he saw a giant golden dragon with 9 claws circling on top of the entire kingdom. Wang Wei knew that this was the manifestation of the entire dynasty's qi luck. Upon closer examination, Wang Wei found that this dragon was lying down with numerous scales that were destroyed. On top of the dragon, there was a snake that was slowly killing it by absorbing its power. However, the absorption process seemed slow, and the golden dragon also seemed to be still fighting back. After seeing this, Wang Wei knew that Crown Prince Su Wen's life was not easy in the dynasty. Whatever means he used to suddenly take over power has many drawbacks. Although he seemed to have found a way to remedy these drawbacks, the process will probably take a long time. In the meantime, the Great Wu dynasty is essentially crippled, and does not have the ability to interfere in other countries' matters. This is good news for Wang Wei's future plans. The thing he worries the most about is that the three great dynasties band together to deal with him, and the other heaven-chosens. Afterward, Wang Wei looked in the direction of the Great Yi dynasty. There he also saw a golden dragon. However, this dragon only had 6 paws, with the remaining 3 being cut off. With the paws of the dragon signifying its military strength, Wang Wei guesses that both Ji Song and Ji Su had already managed to infiltrate deeply into this dynasty's army, and are slowly swallowing it. Giving them enough time, the Great Yi dynasty would eventually be captured in their hands. And the process might be even faster than the Great Wu dynasty. After pondering for a brief moment, Wang Wei then looked in the direction of the Great Shu dynasty. He paid more attention to this kingdom than the other ones. Wang Wei also saw a gigantic golden dragon. Upon closer, there seemed to be nothing with this dragon. It was healthy with no injuries or parasites on him. However, Wang Wei soon noticed a yin-yang symbol on top of this dragon's head. Then, part of the dragon's head began to turn white and black. What's even worse was the fact that this dragon noticed the symbol and its effect on it, but he did not care or take any action. On the contrary, upon closer inspection, Wang Wei noticed that the dragon was happy at the fact that it was slowly transforming, and wished that the process would quickly accelerate. While Wang Wei was observing the qi luck of the Great Shu dynasty, suddenly, the dragon seemed to notice something and looked in Wang Wei's direction. Its eyes locked directly with Wang Wei's. Through its eyes, Wang Wei could feel that someone was watching him from a far distance through the dragon. Noticed, thought Wang Wei with a slight surprise on his face. This was the first time someone had noticed it when he peeked at their luck. This should be the heaven chosen that was canonized as the dynasty's national teacher. After the dragon made a brief contact with Wang Wei, a fog suddenly appeared and covered the entire Great Shu dynasty. Immediately afterward, Wang Wei discovered that he could no longer observe the luck of this dynasty. Interesting, he muttered while smiling, yin-yang symbol. Is this guy related to the Tai Profound Gate? Great Shu dynasty. Inside a newly built temple, a teenager dressed in Taoist robe was sitting cross-legged. Although he was not overtly handsome, he had a peaceful air about him. He gave the feeling that even if the whole world was destroyed, nothing would faze him. He would still remain quiet, inactive, and peaceful. This person can actually directly observe the luck of the entire dynasty. And it seemed that he did not use any secret method. It was like an innate or inborn talent from his eyes. Just like you, answered another hoarse and bland voice. Master, you woke up, said the teenager. After which, a transparent person floated next to the teenager. It was a middle-aged man with eyes full of vicissitudes. He had a very ancient and profound air about him. Yes. I felt something was happening and came to check it out. Master, did that person wake you up? Is he worthy of you to pay attention to? Did you forget the warning that the sect gave you before coming here? You mean that this guy was actually the young sect master of the Tao opening sect, Wang Wei? The transparent person nodded his head, and looked in the direction of Wang Wei and started thinking. Meanwhile, the young teenager had a frown on his face. Teacher, do you think this Wang Wei noticed something? You do not need to worry about me. Even if a great emperor came right in front of you, it would be difficult for her to notice my existence. As for the other thing, it is very unlikely due to the distance. However, if you ever meet this guy in person, you should be extra careful not to do anything unusual. The teenager nodded in acknowledgement, as expected of the master who survived from the incense era, muttered the teenager under his breath. Meanwhile, the transparent middle-aged man started thinking to himself. Does this generation have a genius similar to him? No, it cannot be. I have waited too long for my plans to be spoiled by anyone else. After a few minutes of pondering, the transparent man suddenly became even more pale, almost disappearing. The teenager became worried and asked, "Master, are you okay? Your primordial spirit seem to be fading. You do not need to worry too much. This world is just too low for me to exist outside of your body for too long. I'll be fine after a period of rest." The teenager clenched his hands in determination. Without his master's guidance, he would just be one of the many mediocre disciples in the sect, let alone acquiring the position of Tao child. "Master, it won't be long before I enter the supernatural realm. By then, you can rest in my Niwan aperture and use my soul to sustain you until I find the right method to help you resurrect." The transparent man looked at his disciple and nodded. "My disciple, it's good that you have such intention, however, there is no need to hurry. It is better to take your time and set a solid foundation for your future. I can still last for a while." After saying this, the middle-aged man, who was currently just a primordial spirit, turned into a light and entered the body of the teenager. If you look closely, you would find out that this man has turned into a swastika tattoo on the teenager's chest. Meanwhile, Wang Wei had already checked the information he needed from observing the luck of each dynasties. According to his analysis, the Great Shu will probably pose the greatest threat to him in this trial. Whoever entered the Great Shu dynasty had chosen the best and most efficient way to acquire power, through religion. With this method, it is only a matter of time before the entire kingdom will fall into his hand, and he can easily gather the luck needed for this trial. And if that person decides to expand his reach beyond the dynasty's borders. After summarizing the information he needed, Wang Wei left the intersection point city and headed to the eastern coast. He spent 15 days on a journey that should have taken more than 3 months. In order for the demonic beasts to be able to keep up with such constant traveling, Wang Wei had to nourish its body with his origin chi, which allowed the flying beasts to break through its cultivation realm. Meanwhile, Wang Wei discovered that his pure origin chi might have the ability to strengthen the bloodline of low-level demonic beasts. However, he does not currently have the time to ponder the significance of his newfound ability. He was already slightly behind his other opponents in this trial. After arriving on the east coast, he headed straight to a kingdom known as Eastern Rain Kingdom. He did not immediately reunite with his group, but took time to travel throughout the entire kingdom. During his travels, he focused more on the life of ordinary people. And just like he expected, the life of ordinary people was worse than street dogs. Wang Wei saw how there were countless slum areas scattered in each prefecture and cities of this kingdom. The people had little to no food to eat. The majority of people wore old, cheap, and tattered clothes. Beggars could be seen everywhere. Once in a while, people will forever disappear from the streets, especially young girls. Murder and looting often occur in every part of the kingdom. As for the aristocrats of this kingdom, of course, they lived luxurious lifestyles at the expense of the poor. After checking the luck of this kingdom, Wang Wei saw a very intimidating yellow flood dragon who looked mighty and strong. He was not surprised by this. This kingdom was not as strong as the 3 central dynasties, so its luck would not be a true dragon. However, he was quite surprised by how powerful the kingdom's luck was given the state of its citizens. After careful thinking, he realized that it was probably due to the vast territory of the kingdom. After further investigation, Wang Wei noticed that the Chi dragon was breathing erratically and would sometimes cough a slight mouthful of blood. He knew that this indicated that despite the external strength of the Eastern Rain Kingdom, it was suffering from serious internal trouble. Without the proper measure, it is only a matter of time before the kingdom crumbled and destroyed itself. After spending a month visiting most places in the kingdom, Wang Wei reunited with his team and had another meeting. "Where is Miss Su Ai?" asked Wang Wei when he entered their secret room. To which Wang Ju responded, after receiving the spirit break pills, she went into seclusion. After receiving a paper containing detailed information about the Eastern Rain Kingdom, Wang Wei looked at Yan Liling. "You did a good job in refining the pill so fast." However, she just smiled. Wang Wei sat cross-legged and took a few minutes to read and analyze all the information. Big brother Wang Wei, you picked the perfect place for us to establish a dynasty. This Eastern Rain Kingdom has vast lands, a large population, fertile lands due to the constant rains, access to the sea for both transportation and fishing for food. However, both the royal family and the nobles have a firm and complete control of the military. Are we just going to kill them first? Wang Wei shook his head and answered. We cannot do that. With our strength, it would be very easy to kill the royal family and the noble clans. However, what next? The ordinary people of this kingdom have been brainwashed for countless generations that it is right for them to be ruled. It is normal to give up their freedom and labor to the higher echelons of the dynasty. As long as they continue to live day to day, everything else is fine. If we suddenly pop up and tell them that now, we are in charge, the only thing we would have left is a kingdom with countless people rioting all over our territory. And in such a kingdom, how could we gather luck? Then big brother, what's the plan? What's our next step of action? In order to properly establish our own kingdom, we need two things: the general support of the people and legitimacy. Li Jun looked at Wang Wei and asked, I understand what you mean by the support of the people, but what do you mean by legitimacy? Legitimacy means that we have the proper authorization, or right to openly govern the people of this land. We can use our powerful cultivation and proclaim that we were mandated by heaven to come save the people from the pain and suffering they endured from the royal family and the nobles. Or we can acquire our legitimacy from someone else that is willing to hand it over. Or to be precise, we need an ally that has sufficient power and status to provide us with proper legitimacy. And this ally has to have a kind heart that loves and cares for the common people. This method is better and more efficient as we do not need to put bondage to the people's mind through superstitions. But, big brother, where will we find such a person? The majority of people in power in this kingdom are rotten to the core. Of course there is. The 13th princess of the Eastern Rain Kingdom, Dong Lifen. She is the perfect person to fit this role. Eastern Rain Kingdom, Forbidden City, Royal Palace. A group of armored guards were lined up in rows, waiting for the appearance of something or someone. If you look closely, you will discover that each of the guards had a deep pride in faces and a happy smile. After a few minutes, a girl dressed in ancient blue garments walked out the palace with a few maids behind her. She had many hairpins in her hair that formed the shape of a crown. She had a veil covering her mouth, hiding her physical appearance. However, a person could tell how beautiful she was just based on her upper face and her eyes. Her eyes were fascinating. Not in the sense that one was drawn by them due to lust or desire. No, they remind anyone of their happiest and sweetest dreams, the dreams that live a lasting influence on you throughout your entire life. This beautiful girl was the 13th princess of the Eastern Rain Kingdom, Dong Lifen. After exiting the palace, Dong Lifen gave a smile to the guards, an act which elicited blushing smiles from the armored men before entering a carriage decorating with phoenix paintings. Driven by 4 Tier 1 demonic beasts, the carriage headed straight for the slums of the city, which was located more than a quarter of a mile southwest of the Forbidden City. When the guards in the carriage, the people there were not scared as usual when seeing the authority. On the contrary, they were all excited. Princess Dong Lifen stepped out of her carriage and started walking to an already placed stall. She did not mind the mud and dirty rain water scattered everywhere. In front of the stall, Princess Dong Lifen saw 3 cleanly dressed young men standing over there waiting for her. A trace of disgust flashed across her eyes before returning to normal. She approached them with a smile and said, Young Marquis Leng Jianjun, young Viscount Chang Shun, and young Duke Zhengke, it is nice to see you again this time. Duke Zhengke took a step forward and bowed politely like an educated aristocrat. It is our utmost pleasure to serve the princess and the common people of the kingdom. Marquis Leng Jianjun also stepped forwards and said, Princess, this time, our Leng family has triple the amount of food from last time. Viscount Chang Shun did not want to be left behind, so he immediately said, This time our Chang family have donated more than 100,000 cotton-made robes perfect to protect the untouchable, common people from the harsh winter without any problem. Princess Dong Lifen ignored Chang Shun's slip of the tongue, and looked directly at Duke Zhengke. The young duke smiled confidently and said, "This time our Jing family has decided to open school in all the slums of the kingdom to teach the common people how to read and fend for themselves. As the saying goes, it is better to teach a man how to fish than to give him the fish directly. After saying this, Duke Xingke had an arrogant smile on his face, as if he had accomplished something as important as world peace. Princess Donglifan wanted to roll her eyes and punch this guy in his face. However, she just smiled and answered, "You did a good job this time, young duke. Now that everyone is here, let's accomplish the task that we came to do here. The people's hunger cannot wait for us to finish our discussion." After saying that, she headed to the stall that was full of food and clothes. There, the princess saw a group of people lining up. The majority of them were in tattered clothes with dirt all over their faces and body. Each of them had a pungent smell emanating out their bodies. With so many of them standing together, the stench was quite unbearable. However, Princess Donglifan did not care about this as she was used to it. Unfortunately, this cannot be said to the 3 male companions that followed her like a dog chasing its own tail. Nevertheless, given the mission that their families had given them, they decided to hold their breath and interact with all these untouchables no matter how unwilling they are. Children and women first, followed by people with handicaps, then normal men can come last. After saying this, the princess started handing out food and clothing to the people. In the past, she would also hand out money, but that resulted in tragedy. Meanwhile, not far from the stall, on a tall building, Wang Wei was looking at the princess that was doing her work. "What do you think?" "Big brother Wang Wei, you are right. She is indeed a very kind person. From the information we gathered about her from the past month, she would come here at least once a month to provide relief to the people. Yes, she is indeed a kind soul. While traveling throughout the kingdom, I have heard of her deeds among the people. At first, I still kept a skeptical view that maybe all she did was nothing but a front to hide some nefarious plans. However, after meeting her today in person, I can tell that she is a genuinely kind individual. From the fluctuation of her soul, I can tell that she has a very bright and pure soul." Li Jun nodded in agreement. Although he does not have the ability to judge a person's character from their soul fluctuation, he still has his way to judge a person. After all, he was also once an emperor in the pagoda trials and had to deal with court politics. After spending the whole day in the slums, Princess Donglifan returned to the palace late at night. After taking a shower under the care of her maids, she was lying down on her bed thinking about the future of the kingdom. Suddenly, a powerful voice appeared in her own chamber. "Do you think that what you are doing now can actually save this kingdom?" After hearing this, Princess Donglifan jumped off her bed and took out a sword. She yelled, "Who dares trespass into the royal family's chamber?" After saying this, she saw a young man with gray hair and gray eyes looking at her up and down. From his eyes, she felt as if everything about her was seen through, that her fate did not belong to her. She frowned as she felt that tonight, something incredible was about to happen. Wang Wei looked at Donglifan through his true vision ability. "Interesting, you actually have a dream manifestation soul." Donglifan looked at Wang Wei with wariness. Without dropping the swords in her hand, she asked, "What is dream manifestation soul?" "It is a form of innate talent or physique. Although the dream manifestation soul is not listed in the 3000 heavenly physique list, it is actually a very rare physique that can probably compare to the top 20 of heavenly physique list. As a sign of this talent, the owner usually has the ability to enter and exit people's dreams without them knowing." After hearing this, Princess Donglife's face became more solemn. She has read about the heavenly physique list. However, she knows that few people in this world know about this as it is a very ancient secret. The only reason that she knows about it is due to the fact that their Dong family is actually one of the oldest families in this world. As such, there are still records from ancient time. Donglifan learned about the heavenly physique while rummaging through all the documents of the family's ancestral hall to find whether something was wrong with her after her talent awakened. As for her having the ability to enter people's dreams, only 2 people knew about this secret, herself and her master. However, this young man just took a glance at her, and he could identify her ability. What's more is the fact that he seemed to know the secret of ancient times. After taking a deep breath to calm herself down, Princess Donglifan asked again. Who are you? And why have you intruded into my chamber? Oh, I apologized, I should have introduced myself first. My name is Wang Wei, and I'm from what you would call the higher realm. Donglifan frowned again. She has heard of the higher realm. In fact, every cultivator in this world pursues to one day break the void and enter the higher realm in order to reach a higher level of cultivation. However, she did not immediately believe this young man's words. As such, she asked. How could you prove that your words are true? Wang Wei was not surprised by her question. Maybe a normal cultivator might believe his words with a little effort. However, this princess was born into the royal family. She grew up living and witnessing countless conspiracies. The fact that she managed to grow up until now, and have such status proved that she is not a simple-minded girl despite her kind nature. After hearing the girl's question, Wang Wei mobilized his divine altar, and a powerful aura enveloped the entire room, crushing down on Princess Donglifan. The princess felt a tremendous weight was pushing on her, and a horrified look appeared on her face. She realized what this pressure meant. This was the pressure from a divine altar ancestor. She recognized as he once met one of the sleeping ancestors of the Dong family. Donglifan was indeed horrified. The divine altar realm is the highest cultivation of this world before breaking the void. Only a few very talented individuals have the chance to ever reach such a realm in their life. As the most talented person of the Dong family in this generation, she is considered to be a heaven-defying genius for reaching the body-refining realm 9th layer with her age. However, this young man who seemed to be of similar age as him has already entered the divine altar realm, a realm she decided as a goal to pursue all her life. A realm that even her master has been stuck in a bottleneck for more than 100 years, and has not been able to reach. Inside the royal palace, Wang Wei's aura pressure soon disappeared after a few minutes. Princess Donglifan took a deep breath in order to calm herself down. Sir, this does not prove anything. You could just be a very talented person. Just a powerful cultivation does not prove that you are from the higher realm. Wang Wei smiled after hearing this and said in a tranquil voice. You should be perfectly clear that a tiny little world like yours cannot cultivate a strong person as young as me. However, I can understand your skepticism. There are numerous ways that I could prove to you of my identity. I could show you things that you have never seen in your life, provide you with knowledge beyond your wildest comprehension. However, all of this will happen when you and I come to a certain level of trust. Additionally, Your Highness, you seem to have misunderstood something. I did not show you my power just to prove my identity as a foreigner. I showed it to you to tell you that if I wanted to do something to you, there is absolutely nothing you could do to stop me. Even that little divine sea cultivator hiding in the corner could not prevent me from harming you if I wished to. After hearing this, Princess Donglifan's heart skipped a beat. She has been exposed. Few seconds later, a woman appeared from the corner and walked next to the princess. She was middle-aged, however, all her hair had turned white. Her eyes displayed the fact that she had gone through a lot of things in her life. Wang Wei could tell that this middle-aged woman was probably close to reaching the limit of 300 years old of divine sea cultivators. However, she seemed to be able to maintain a somewhat youthful look. The middle-aged woman then bowed and said, "You has seen Your Excellency Wang Wei. I would also like to apologize on behalf of my disciple." "Master," exclaimed Princess Donglifan. "Quiet, Funa. Didn't you notice that despite all the commotions in here, the guards outside never reacted and barged inside?" Then, it suddenly dawned on Donglifan. With all the things that happened here, with the loyalty of her guards, they would immediately come to rescue her if they noticed something was wrong. After reprimanding her disciples, Yu looked at Wang Wei and asked, "Your Excellency, if you do not mind, why don't we chat over some freshly brewed tea?" Wang Wei looked up and down at Yu, then nodded. It's true what the ancient said, wisdom comes through age. I will gladly accept your invitation, Miss Yusiyu. Yusiyu did not mind the fact that a young man, who could be her grandson, called her Miss. The cultivating world is quite hierarchical. Whoever has the higher strength is the elder. As such, she said. Your Excellency, you can just call me by name. No need for the formalities. Well then, I'll be presumptuous. And you guys can call me young master. After a few pleasantries, Yusiyu had her disciples brew some tea for the three of them. She clenches her teeth, and takes out her most beloved and precious tea, one she acquired long ago in a secret realm after going through countless life and death situations. Even Princess Dong Lifen was very surprised when she saw her master take out her favorite tea. However, she did not say anything in front of Wang Wei and served the tea for all of them. After tasting the tea, Wang Wei secretly gave it a medium to low-level evaluation. However, he did not say anything out loud. Upon seeing that Wang Wei did not react to her tea, Yusiyu was somewhat discouraged. Could it be that even one of my most valuable things is nothing to this person? Or is there something wrong with the tea, secretly thought Yusiyu. However, after looking at the intoxicated look on her disciple's face, she sighed and did not continue to think about such things. Young Master Wang Wei, since you are from a higher realm, there must be a reason for you to appear in our world. Is it possible to explain to us? After finishing a sip of tea, Wang Wei answered, a group of capable young generations of our world were chosen to come to this world for a trial. Group? Suddenly asked Princess Dong Lifen. As in, there are more than one people like you? Yes, me and a few other people. Are you and them in a group? Not all, we are competitors. Of course not. Are they all as powerful as you? Wang Wei took another sip of his tea, then he looked at Dong Lifen straight in the eyes. Suddenly, the princess felt a dread overcoming her every being, her every soul. She tried to use her dream ability to counter this feeling, but it was of no avail. She felt that her soul was about to be destroyed. When she was on the verge of breaking, Wang Wei removed his gaze from her and continued talking. If you are done interrupting me, I can tell you all the information necessary. Different factions in my world sent their promising younger generation to this world to compete with each other as a trial. The purpose of this trial is quite simple: establish a dynasty and compete for the luck of this world. As for other participants, there are many of them. However, the most powerful are me and 3 other people. I'm sure you have heard of them. Didn't your Eastern Reign Kingdom receive the changes that happened in the 3 central dynasties? Yusiyu then remembered a few years ago that her disciple received such information. At that time, the whole kingdom, not the whole world, was in uproar, especially when the Great Wei dynasty suddenly changed its name to Great Wu. Young master, you mean that the changes of these 3 dynasties is because of the people from the higher realm like you? That's correct. After hearing the positive answer, Yusiyu started to frown. From this little information, she could tell that heaven was about to change with the arrival of these people from other worlds. She looked at her disciple, who was as quiet as a scared bunny, and sighed. Seeing the silent atmosphere of the room, Wang Wei realized that he might have gone too far with his previous warning. Without the princess participating in the conversation, things will not proceed smoothly. Your Highness Dong Lifen, I apologized for my previous indiscretion. In order to make up for my fault, I will treat you to a delicacy from my world. After saying that, Wang Wei took out his own tea and started brewing it. Using a standard tea ceremony, he began to serve all 3 of them. Yusiyu looked at Wang Wei's actions and was quite surprised on the inside. She noticed that in just a few actions, he used his strength to place her disciples in her place and insert his dominance in the conversation. Then, with an apology and some tea, he brought her into his good grace again. Yusiyu realized that this young master was not only powerful, but also a person with a great and calculating mind. Furthermore, from the standard tea ceremony he just did, he must have received a strict aristocratic education. After serving the tea, Wang Wei explained with a smile. This is my favorite tea named Longxue. It is a very rare thing even in my world. Please enjoy. Both Princess Dong Lifen and her master tasted the tea with anticipation. And they were not disappointed. The tea seemed to be able to play with their taste buds like a grandmaster of the qin. It catered to their very specific taste and desire. After a few minutes of drinking, a vast amount of blood qi overflowed from Dong Lifen's body. She was about to break through the divine sea realm. Just this single tea has made up for decades of practice for her. In fact, it was not just her who benefited from this tea. You also benefited a great deal. She has been stuck in the peak of the divine sea realm for hundreds of years. However, with this tea, she could tell that after seclusion, she would manage to succeed in breaking through the next realm after countless failures. When Dong Lifen was about to succeed, a powerful voice interrupted her. If I were you, I would not do this. After hearing this, the princess frowned deeply, then controlled her blood qi and stopped her breakthrough. If it was any other person who stopped her, she would fight him or her as if he or her was the killer of her parents. Upon seeing that Dong Lifen managed to withstand the temptation of increase in realm, Wang Wei's evaluation of her increased by a bit. As such, he continued to explain to her. Most people think that the body refining realm only has 9 layers, but they are wrong. The body refining realm has a total of 12 layers. The 10th layer is known as Saint Foundation, the 11th layer as the Supreme Foundation, and the last layer is known as Tao Foundation. After hearing this information, both Yu and Dong Lifen were shocked. This was the first time they have heard such a secret. No wonder cultivating in this world is so difficult. All of this time, all of us have weak foundations. How could we reach higher realms? Muttered Yu under her breath with a hint of madness. Do you guys know the cultivation realm after the divine altar? We only know that it is called the transcending mortality realm, answered Dong Lifen with a lowered voice. Yes, this realm is mainly called the supernatural realm. After that, there are the divine body realm, primordial spirit realm, void shattered saint, supreme, and finally, becoming a great emperor. Great emperor. Oh, you guys have heard of a great emperor. After taking a deep breath, the princess explained. In our world, rumors of great emperors have circulated for countless millennia. However, no cultivators actually knew what a great emperor was. Some believed it to be a cultivating realm, however, the majority believed it to be the ruler of a great and large dynasty. As such, in ancient times, numerous people established states, kingdoms, and dynasties in order to one day become a great emperor. This situation has continued to this day. However, who would have thought that the great emperor was actually a cultivation realm? Wang Wei then nodded as he finally understood why this world was called Warring Kingdoms. After revealing this shocking information, the room fell silent for a good half-hour. After which, Princess Dong Lifen took a deep breath to calm herself down and asked. Young Master Wang Wei, I assume the reason you came to see me was because you have decided to start your own dynasty on the territory of Eastern Rain Kingdom. Why should I help you? Wang Wei smiled when he saw how quickly Princess Dong Lifen recovered from her shock and analyzed the situation. His evaluation of her increased quite a bit again. This goes back to the question I asked you when we first met. Do you think that your actions in the slum can save this kingdom? After heeding this, Dong Lifen remained silent. As such, Wang Wei continued. Although this country looked strong from the outside with its vast lands and powerful army, however, any observant person can see that this kingdom is slowly crumbling from the inside. Both the royal family and the noble clans are slowly draining the life of the common people like mindless zombies. As long as they can continue their lavish lifestyles, who cares if the common people are suffering every day? No, maybe I should also call them untouchables like they do. After hearing the word untouchables, Princess Dong Lifen secretly clenched her teeth. Meanwhile, Wang Wei continued his narration. Not to mention the secret infighting between the noble clans and the royal family. In such a battle, the ones who are most affected are the common people. As for you, Your Highness, how many people can your weekly donations save? A few 100,000s. However, compared to this kingdom's population of 35.1 billion people, a few hundred of thousands of people is nothing. Not to mention the fact that your actions are merely treating a few symptoms, but not the root of the problem. After hearing this, Dong Lifen was quite calm. After taking and savoring another sip of tea, she asked. You may be right, young Master Wang Wei, however, this is the best that I can do. I'm fully aware of this, Princess. I am not in any way diminishing your accomplishments. On the contrary, I'm lauding your actions given the circumstances you are in. Thank you for your praise, young master. Nevertheless, this does not change the fact that I'm still wary of you people from the higher realms. Just the fact that you people are willing to use an entire world as a trial does not show that you are very kind people. Not to mention the fact that your arrival will plunge the entire world into war and turmoil. So I asked again, why should I help you? Wang Wei took a sip of tea to moisturize his throat while secretly thinking that maybe he should have used a less expensive tea to entertain these people. After his meeting with Li Jun a few years back, his secret stash of tea is almost finished. After taking his sip, Wang Wei continued, the world of cultivation is a brutal place where the strong prey on the weak. You of all people should be aware of this. The truth of the matter is that your world is incredibly weak, so it can be toyed with by more powerful worlds. You are lucky enough that all we did was use this world as a trial to train disciples. Out there in the endless void, there are many worlds like this one that are totally slaughtered after being discovered by a more powerful plane. As for the war and chaos of this world, well, let's be honest, this world was already like this when we found it. Our arrival would only intensify the conflict. After taking another sip of tea, Wang Wei said, as for the reason you should help us foreigners, the answer is actually very simple, interest. As I said before, our purpose in coming into this world is to actually gather luck through the establishment of a fortune dynasty. In order to do so, all the trial participants will make it their mission to ensure that the luck of their dynasty flourished. And what is the best way to do so? Of course it is the common people. As long as a dynasty has a large population, the people can feed and clothe themselves, the people are educated and have wealth for the next generation, the luck of such a dynasty would be unimaginable. Both UCU and Dong Lifen started to imagine the world described by Wang Wei. They imagined how beautiful such a world would be. However, Princess Dong Lifen quickly woke up from her daydreaming and asked. Young Master Wang Wei, what you say is beautiful and all, but what about afterwards? After you guys plunder the luck you needed for this trial, what will happen to the people of the dynasties you created? Princess, do not ask such a stupid question. As a member of the royal family, you should be aware of what happens if a ruler blatantly absorbs the luck of a dynasty. They will be backlash by the dynasty's luck and suffer from karmic retributions. Wang Wei nodded after hearing her explanation, and continued to explain. The truth of the matter is the fact that all of us that came to the trial came from powerful sects or dynasties with tremendous amount of luck. As such, wouldn't it be easier to just absorb the luck of our own faction? The answer is no. The reason for such is because we know the consequence of absorbing from such powerful luck. As such, we set our sight into a small world like yours due to the fact that the laws of karma are very weak here. As long as we establish a prosperous dynasty in this world, then we can absorb a bit of luck without suffering from karmic retributions. The more prosperous the dynasty we establish, the more luck we can take. After we leave, we will have settled our karmic debts. Although we stole a little bit of luck from this world, we return it with a powerful and prosperous dynasty. Our cause and effect are then settled. Upon hearing this, both UCU and Dong Lifen were shocked. They did not expect that a simple trial like this would involve such profound understanding and insight into the Tao of Karma. UCU secretly sighed for the third time today. She sighed on how such a young generation of the higher realm have such deep understanding into the Tao, compared to the cultivators of their world. After getting all the information she needed, Dong Lifen asked straightforwardly. How can I help you, young Master Wang Wei? I'm here to make a deal with you. Deal? What kind of deal? When the time is right, I need your highness to become my empress and rule the dynasty with me. After hearing this, both UCU and Dong Lifen were shocked. Then, the princess said, I did not expect that young master Wang Wei was just like all the young masters of this kingdom and lusted after my beauty and prestige. Wang Wei looked at her and laughed out loud for a few seconds. Did I say something wrong? After all of those eloquent speeches, didn't young master Wang Wei just want to use me to buy the people's hearts? Wang Wei took another sip of tea after finishing laughing, then he said. The fact that you are insinuating that I'm the same kind of person as those scums is probably the greatest offense that I have ever received in my life so far. As for me lusting after your beauty. Let's put it that way, princess. In my life, I will probably have only one Tao companion that accompanies me through countless trials and tribulations. And you, princess, have not come even remotely close to fit my requirements for a companion. Wang Wei then paused for a moment to reheat the tea, while the princess had an unconvinced look on her face. After warming the tea, Wang Wei looked at the princess straight in the eyes and said, Princess, you seem to have gotten something wrong. I do not need your help to take over this kingdom. As a matter of fact, this kingdom will fall in my hands one way or another, it is only a matter of time. The reason for asking for your help is to speed up the process and minimize the unnecessary casualties when I do so. Dong Lifen suddenly realized that this man was right. With this young master's strength alone, maybe he could easily take over this kingdom. And there is a high chance that this person has other people behind to help him. And if that were to happen, there is nothing she could do to stop it. After thinking about this, cold sweat started to fall on her back. Suddenly, Yu spoke and asked, Young master, since you say that you are here to make a deal, there must be other benefits for Funa to help you. Of course, said Wang Wei while thinking that old ginger is always spicier than young one. As a reward for help, I will provide her with knowledge, pills, and higher cultivation methods from my world. Additionally, as long as she helps me manage the dynasty properly, I can still promise to take her back to my world if she wishes to. Of course, as her master, you are also more than welcome to come with us. After hearing this, Yu wanted to immediately agree. This was an opportunity to forever change her life. However, she knew that this was an important decision for her disciples to make and did not say anything. After looking at her disciples' pensive look, she told Wang Wei, Young Master Wang Wei, if you do not mind, could please give us a few days to consider. After hearing this, Wang Wei nodded and answered, No problem, I can give you a week to decide. After saying this, he stood up and looked at the princess. In fact, you do not need to worry about the so-called marriage between us as it is simply a deal. I can even swear a Tao oath not to force you to do anything that you did not want to. As long as you accomplish your official duties as the dynasty's empress, everything else will be fine. After saying this, Wang Wei moved quickly and instantly disappeared from the room, not forgetting to remove the isolation formation he previously placed in this room. Meanwhile, Princess Dong Lifen was thinking about the biggest decision of her life that will probably decide the fate of the entire Eastern Rain Kingdom, and maybe even the whole world. After a week, Princess Dong Lifen and her master Yu met Wang Wei and his group in a private room of a restaurant. The princess was once again surprised. Although she could not tell the cultivation level of these people, however, given how respectful her master was to these young people, she could guess that they were in the same realm as young master Wang Wei. Many of her previous skepticism were removed after this meeting. Especially when she saw how beautiful both Wang Ju and Yan Liling were, she knew that young master Wang Wei did not lie when he said he was not after her beauty. Inside, everyone was eating and drinking tea. After taking a sip of tea, Dong Lifen had an ugly look on her face. Ever since she tasted the Longxue tea, every other tea she drank tasted like piss to her. So princess, have you made a decision? Asked Wang Wei. Dong Lifen nodded her head and said, Yes, young master, after thinking about it, I decided to work with you. Wise decision. After saying this, Wang Wei waved his head to Wang Ju, who placed 3 things on the table: a book, 2 bottles of pills, and a brocade box. After opening the brocade box, 2 rings laid there. Then he explained. These 2 rings are space rings. I noticed that this thing is actually quite precious in your world, so this is the first gift I give you to show my sincerity to work with you. In these 2 bottles of pills, one contain blood-nourishing pills, which can increase your cultivation of blood chi by at least 3 times. In the second bottle, there is a very precious pill known as the Foundation Reinforcement Pill. As the name suggests, this pill can actually strengthen the foundation of a person. I have prepared this pill especially for your master. After she takes it, her normal foundation can increase to a holy foundation without having to abolish her cultivation and start over. You became excited as soon as she heard this. After knowing the secrets of the different foundations, she guessed that the young master will probably prove her disciple with a way to have a better foundation. However, she worried about herself. She had already stepped into the divine sea realm, and her foundation was already set. Her disciples told her to abolish her cultivation and start over, however, she could not make a decision. After all, she has been cultivating for more than 250 years, as such, it is not easy to just abandon everything just like that. Now, she did not have to make the decision. With this pill, she has hope for a better foundation, thus also hoped for reaching higher realms. Young master, these 2 things are indeed very precious, so I would like to thank you. I've always wanted a space ring of my own, however, only royal father has one, and he refused to give it to me. What about the book? Asked the princess with a bright smile. This book will allow you to cast a supreme foundation. What about the Tao Foundation? You are very ambitious, suddenly said Yan Liling. Do you have any idea how precious such a book is even in our world? How many people would kill to have it? If any news of this method were to leak out, countless people would not hesitate to destroy this little world for it. Yan Liling's words woke up the princess from her moment of greed. She apologized and started to read the cultivation technique, however a gleam of desire and determination flashed deep in her eyes. After going over the cultivation method briefly, she looked at Wang Wei and asked, "Is this technique incomplete?" "Of course, princess, although you and I entered an alliance, you have not made any accomplishment to our cause. How can I just hand you such a powerful cultivation method?" Dong Lifen nodded, however, she was not happy about this. After noticing her mood, Wang Wei explained, "You do not need to worry, as long as you accomplish the task given to you, the rest of the technique will also be given to you. Furthermore, I specially chose a cultivation that perfectly matches your dream manifestation soul. This technique came from a very powerful sect in our world called the Eternal Dream Sect, and they have trained more than one great emperor that cultivates the Tao of Dream. Although this technique is not their best, it can also be considered in the top 20. The only reason that Wang Wei had access to this technique was due to the fact that the Eternal Dream Sect was a very close ally of the Tao Opening Sect. At one point, the 2 sects even exchanged scriptures as a form of alliance. Although they did not exchange emperor scriptures, many supreme-level methods were exchanged. Wang Wei read about a few of them in the library and remembered them. "Young master, what do I need to do?" asked the princess after calming down from both disappointment and excitement. After hearing her words, Wang Wei took a few talismans from his space ring and separated them. This talisman is called the communication talisman, which is used for us to communicate no matter the distance. "Oh, so it's like the flying pigeon hex." Flying pigeon hex. Seeing the confusion in Wang Wei's face, the princess explained that the so-called flying pigeon hex is actually what cultivators use in this world to communicate. After the explanation, Wang Wei understood that this pigeon hex is actually just another name for the communication talisman in this world, except that it transmits written letters instead of direct voice. As for the reason it has such a weird name, well, according to the princess, since mortals used flying pigeons to send letters, the inventor of this talisman just used the same name. Wang Wei was speechless after hearing about this. Although he and his team have information about a lot of things in this world, it will take some time for them to adapt to the culture. Wang Wei took a moment to remove the distracting thought from his head. Then, he explained the purpose of the other talismans to the princess. "You need to place these talismans in different places of the capital city. Their purpose is to prevent any communication from formation or talismans from reaching there, essentially isolating the capital from the rest of the kingdom. In addition, princess, you need to use your own people to intercept any messengers coming from anywhere in the kingdom. If there is any information about our actions, you need to prevent it from reaching the royal family. And if you cannot stop the message, then at least reduce the level of threat we seem to pose to the upper echelons of the kingdom. After saying this, Wang Ju handed Dong Lifan a map of the places that the talismans need to be placed. Soon afterward, Princess Dong Lifan and her quiet master secretly left the restaurant. Few seconds after their departure, Yan Liling asked Big Brother Wang Wei, "Do you really trust her just like that? What if she betrays us after gaining all the benefits?" "You do need to worry about this," responded Wang Wei. "I already have Wang Ju secretly monitor the princess at all times. And if she betrays us, then we just have to kill her. She is not that essential to the overall situation." Wang Wei was calm when he said this. To him, the princess was nothing but a way for him to speed up the process of capturing this kingdom. If she cooperates with him, he will not treat her badly. This could be seen by the fact that he used a precious supreme tier technique to motivate her. However, if she decides to betray him, he will not hesitate to kill her, then use more fierce and brutal means to capture this kingdom. "So, Big Brother, which place are we going to attack first?" asked Li Jun with a fierce fighting intent on his eyes. Wang Wei could swear that this guy began to look more and more like the ancient desolate emperor. "The borders are our main target first. I don't want this country to be breached by others while I'm slowly building power. As such, we must control all the border cities and states." After that, Wang Wei looked at Wang Ju and asked, "Did you get all the information I asked for?" Due to the limited time, we only gathered a few pieces of evidence. However, by the time we arrive at the borders, everything should be ready and prepared. "That's good. We have to hurry now given how much ahead a lot of our competitors already are." After that, Wang Wei and the three others journeyed for a whole half a month before arriving at the borders. The groups arrived at a city called Iron Wall City, which is a border city that prevents the advancement of the Iron Fist Kingdom. The Iron Fist Kingdom is famous in the eastern regions due to its mad monarch. The monarch believes that war is the only thing that can fuel the existence of humanity. Without war, a man cannot be considered a man. Without war, a man cannot be considered to be alive. As such, the Iron Fist Kingdom is always fighting with its neighboring kingdoms. What's even worse is the fact that the majority of the people of the kingdom actually agree with the Mad King. Wang Wei's first step of action is to take control of the Iron Wall City and establish a foundation before taking over the entire Eastern Reign Kingdom. After arriving in Iron Wall City, Wang Wei was a little surprised. Just like the name implied, this city is surrounded by a massive wall that is at least 500 meters in height and more than 20 meters in width. The thickness of the wall was between 2 to 3 meters. Considering the backward technology of this world, Wang Wei was indeed a little surprised. It seemed that he underestimated the people of this world. After entering the city, Wang Wei's group met with generals 1 to 5, who had a head start from the group. There Wang Wei received a map of the city and the general distribution of power. The entire city was divided into 4 districts: the noble district, the merchant district, the common district, and the military district. The noble district is where the nobles and city lord live. It is the political center of this city. The merchant district is where the majority of trades take place. As a border city, despite the constant war, trades between other countries often take place. Of course, the majority of these trades are technically illegal. However, merchants are people who pursue profit. As long as they can make money, there is nothing that they will not do. The military district is where the border army is located. It is led by General Dong Wu, a peak divine sea cultivator. He basically controls all the armed forces of this city. The common district is the largest area with the highest population, but also the one with least amount of wealth. Due to the fact that this city is constantly at war, the life of the majority people is used only as cannon fodder through constant recruitment into the army. However, they are willing because it is the only way for them to receive a little bit of food. Furthermore, as long as the population decreased to a certain number, a large number of new blood will be brought over from the hinterland of the kingdom. Another source of population was the refugees from other kingdoms that have lost their homes during the many wars. After reviewing the information, Wang Wei started his plan into motion. Soon, a rumor of someone handing food and clothes 5 days later spread throughout the common district. Many people became excited at the prospect of finally having something to eat. On the day publicized by the rumors, Wang Wei stood in front of a stall with countless food. He hired a few people to hand out the food, and a few people to pose as an army to make sure that the people did not fight over the food. This altruistic act of Wang Wei continued for half a year. During this time, he will go distribute food to the poor almost every week. On top of that, Wang Wei opened up schools to teach people how to write and read. Throughout this time, he preached to the people the concept of benevolence and self-worth. He told them that they have the right to pursue their goals and dreams, and that they are not the so-called untouchables that the nobles called them. With his actions and constant preaching of a positive message, Wang Wei's popularity among the common people rose like a comet. The people gave him the title of the Wise Sage. Of course, during the process, there were some minor problems. When the nobles heard what he was doing, they sent someone to warn him. Education was the main way that these nobles kept their power over the common people. How could they allow someone else to make it universal? After Wang Wei ignored their warning, they sent all kinds of assassins to eliminate him. Unfortunately for them, none of these assassins came back alive. Military District, General Mansion. A burly man with a scar on his face sat in an office reviewing a bunch of papers. The man exuded a stench of blood, a powerful fiend qi was coming out of his body. This was General Dong Wu, commander of the Iron Wall City. After reviewing the information that his advisor handed to him, one piece of information caught his attention. Who is this wise sage? Do we have any information on him? Sir, the only thing we know is the fact that this person is also a very powerful cultivator, but he has been doing good deeds in the common district, answered the advisor, who resembled a weak scholar. However, he had a shrewd look deep in his eyes. This person's prestige is too high, and it is very easy for him to incite a rebellion among the people. Why didn't I hear about this sooner? Sir, as soon as I noticed this person, I sent the information to you. However, you were busy fighting the Iron Fist Kingdom at the fortress, so I never received any news back. I did not dare to make any decision on my own. The people of the Iron Fist Kingdom were crazy again, so I was a little occupied. However, now that I know about this, it's time to put an end to this so-called wise sage. Send the Blood Wolf army to surround him, and execute him in the spot. There is no need for that, I'm already here. Both General Dong Wu and his advisor were shocked by the sudden voice that intruded into the room without them even realizing it. Who dares to trespass in this general's resting place? Roared General Dong Wu with all his strength. Soon, he saw a handsome gray hair and gray-eyed teenager slowly walking towards them. His heart suddenly skipped a beat as he had a feeling that something terrible was about to happen to him and this city. General Dong Wu trusted his instinct very well, as it saved him from countless life and death situations during his expeditions. Wang Wei looked at the general and said, "You are quite flexible in your thinking. Using this roar to alert your subordinates that something has gone wrong. Unfortunately, it is of no use." After saying this, Wang Wei released a powerful aura that forced both General Dong Wu and his advisor to kneel, then he sat in a chair waiting. After half an hour, he felt that someone had intruded in the isolation formation that he placed on this room. When he looked up, he saw Li Jun and 5 other people walking inside the room with blood all over their armors. "Is everything done?" asked Wang Wei. "Yes, big brother. With General 1 to 5 infiltrating the army, we were able to easily control more than 90% of the army. And like you ordered, we tried to minimize the casualties to the lowest number possible. What about the remaining 10%? They are all people who are deadly loyal to General Dong Wu. As such, we have arrested them, waiting for you to decide what to do with them." Wang Wei nodded and looked at the 5 generals beside Li Jun and said, "You guys did a good job this time. Keep it up and soon you will be rewarded." General 1 smiled and answered, we are only doing our job, young master. Furthermore, this task was easier than it seemed. With advanced military training methods and sufficient rewards, it was quite easy to have the majority of men be only loyal to us. Additionally, advisor Zhao Feng made the process a lot more smooth. Wang Wei nodded in agreement, then looked at the advisor next to General Dong Wu and praised. You hold up the end of your bargain, now, it is my turn. After saying this, he removed the pressure on Zhao Feng, and took out a book and a space ring, and handed it to him. Meanwhile, General Dong Wu was both shocked and furious. You betrayed me. After everything I've done for you and all the things we have gone together, you betrayed me for a book and a ring. However, Zhao Feng just looked at Dong Wu and sneered at him. Then, he started to read the book like it was the most precious jade in existence. No, maybe even the purest of jades could not compare with this book. Meanwhile, Wang Wei completely ignored the brother betrayal drama that these two were putting on. He asked Li Jun. Is there anything else that we need to take care of? Yes, big brother. Although we have taken control over the military of this city, there is still another army positioned at a fortress a few hundred meters from this city. They are the main force fighting against the Iron Will Kingdom, and we need to take control of them as soon as possible. After hearing this, Wang Wei nodded and looked at General Dong Wu. Do you want to live or die a very miserable death? The general answered with a very calm look on his face, You can kill me if you want, but I will never succumb to anyone. You people just wait, the royal family will never tolerate rebellious officials. After seeing the firm determination in this man's eyes, Wang Wei knew that this person would never betray his kingdom for his life. So he changed tactics. General 2, bring him to Wang Ju, and tell her to use hypnosis, and have him write an edict that transfers the military power of the fortress to General 1. Also tell her to keep him alive, we may need him in the future. Of course Wang Wei could have done it himself with his powerful soul, however what is the point of having subordinates, if he has to do everything by himself? With Wang Ju's divine body cultivation, she is more than capable of doing this. Although her cultivation is sealed, she still has a powerful soul because of her realm. Over the years, after starting to cultivate, Wang Wei has discovered that he has a natural talent when it comes to controlling the soul. This was shown when he used his powerful soul to easily intimidate the princess during their conversation. He guessed that it has to do with the fact that he spent countless years floating in the void in the form of a soul when he was swallowed by the space cracks back on Earth. After giving his order to General 2, Wang Wei looked at General 1 and asked, Do you know what to do? No problem, young master. Give me 3 months, no, 2 months, and I will have the entire fortress under my command. Very good. All of you can go rest now. Tomorrow we can finish discussing our future plans. In the next few days, Wang Wei's group slowly started to reorganize the military district and thoroughly control it. Wang Wei was lucky because he soon realized that General Dong Wu was a person obsessed with power, especially when it comes to military or force. In the entire Iron Wall City, the general controls any group that can be considered to be armed force. From the daily patrol of the city to the guards standing on the wall, from the martial art halls to the lawless gangs in the city. His hand reached in every aspect of these things. Even the escort service that merchants used to protect their goods had General Dong Wu's secret hand behind the scenes. Due to this, he essentially rendered all the nobles powerless. The only force that the nobles of Iron Wall City have are the guards that they secretly trained. Even then, the nobles were forced to control the number in order not to warn the general. However, as a compromise, General Dong Wu handed all the political and economical power of this city to the nobles as long as they do not interfere with the military's livelihood. Inside the general's manor, Wang Wei was reviewing a lot of information about the city situation when 3 people walked into his room. Without raising his head, he asked, Wang Ju, did you accomplish the task I gave you? Yes, young master. General Dong Wu was hypnotized and wrote the edict. General 1 already left for the fortress. However, despite many torture, the general refuses to acknowledge his allegiance. It's not just him that is stubborn. Many of the soldiers in the army are loyal only to him, and also refuse to obey our orders, added Li Jun. Wang Wei thought for a few seconds before ordering to just execute these disobeying soldiers. However, he still kept Dong Wu alive. Given the fact he has the same last name of this kingdom's royal family, he might be useful in the future. After that, Wang Wei asked Yan Liling if she had anything to report, and she answered, "Big brother Wang Wei, we are running out of money, food, and spiritual materials. With the good deeds we did in the past 6 months, most of our wealth is almost gone. With you asking me to crush a few nourishing pills and add it to the food we serve the people of the common district, a lot of spiritual ingredients were used in the process. Not to mention we had to secretly provide General 1 to 5 with special pills to bribe or woo the soldiers. Most of the gold, silver, and food we stole on our way from the capital is almost gone. Why did we have to put nourishing pills in the food we distributed in the common district?" suddenly asked Li Jun. "Well, it is because we need to train a strong army as fast as possible. The majority of people in the common district are weak, thin, and malnourished. However, they are still the main place necessary to recruit troops in the future. With the nourishing pills, a lot of strong men were brought back to peak physical conditions in just a few months, and many young people had established a strong foundation. As such, when we recruit troops there, not only will the people easily accept being enlisted, it will be easier and faster to train them into a powerful and usable army." Everyone nodded after figuring out Wang Wei's process. As such, Li Jun added, "Back in the sect, I've trained an army of cultivators before, but I have never trained a mortal army before. This should be an exciting experience. With these healthy people, it will be much easier for them to train in the military's martial arts." Wang Wei agrees with Li Jun. This world's martial arts make it easier to properly train an army, especially resources-wise. Training a cultivating army takes countless time and resources. This is the reason that only the Blood Wolf army under General Dong Wu is made up of cultivators. After pondering for a while, Wang Wei said, "You do not need to worry about the problem of money and materials. My next step of action will solve our problems." After saying this, Wang Wei ordered Wang Ju to proceed to the next step of the plan. A few days later, Merchant District, in a public square, General 2 and 3 brought an elite group of soldiers. In front of them stood numerous merchants waiting. Then, General 5 started reading out loud an edict drafted by General Dong Wu. As soon as he finished, a commotion appeared among the merchants. "What, we have to hand 90% of our food and gold to the army? It hasn't been a year since the last food draft, and now, you are already asking for more. Last time we only had to offer 60% of our food, and now you are asking for 90%. On top of that, you guys are also asking for our gold. How can we make any profit with how things are being run in this city?" Countless people started arguing and denouncing General 2 and 3 for being ruthless. All the merchants were not happy. "So you guys are not willing to hand over the food and gold? Can I see your actions as an act of rebellion against General Dong Wu's order?" said General 2 with a killing intent in his eyes. Following him, the soldiers behind him also released their killing intent. As elite soldiers that have experienced countless slaughter, their killing intents were not something that a bunch of rich and fat merchants could bear. So the majority of them lowered their heads and decided to hand over their stored food, gold, and spiritual materials. However, a few people refused to back down. To them, money was more important than their life. Without hesitation, General 2 ordered the soldiers to slaughter the people that resisted and confiscated all their wealth. After seeing the massacres of their fellow merchants, the rest of them became obedient and did not hide anything. As for those who thought they were smart and decided to hide the amount of wealth they had, they were soon discovered under the investigation of General 2 and 3. These people suffered the same fate as the disobedient ones. These were all Wang Wei's orders. He had no sympathy for these merchants who leached on the life of the common people. If it was not due to the fact that these merchants were a necessary part for him to build a prosperous dynasty, he would have taken all of their wealth instead of leaving 10% to them. However, the same cannot be said for the nobles of this city. If the merchants are just a chronic disease, then the nobles are malignant tumors. They all need to be destroyed. And that is exactly what Wang Wei did. After securing the logistics of his team, he sent all the troops available in his hands to encircle the noble district and arrested all the nobles there. Then, in front of all the people of the common district, he showed them evidence of the crimes that these nobles had committed. With a recording crystal brought from his own world, Wang Ju and his spy group recorded all kinds of atrocious crimes. From raping, murder, selling children, and distributing drugs to the common people to get them addicted and prevent them from rising. Some nobles even had some sick habits like eating people and children. All these crimes were exposed to the people. With this evidence and Wang Wei's prestige as the wise sage, the people were incited to revolt against the royal family. Taking advantage of this moment of excitement, Wang Wei recruited many strong and healthy male into the army. Then, he spent another year and a half training a proper army. With General Wan taking over the Iron Fortress, Wang Wei used the battle between the Iron Fist Kingdom to quickly hone the fighting abilities of his new army. Through constant battles, in just a year and a half, these new soldiers turned into elite under the precise guidance of Li Jun. After that, Wang Wei officially launched his rebellion. In just 3 years, he had captured 12 of the 72 states of the Eastern Reign Kingdom. Wang Wei had to admit that the Princess Dong Lifen did a terrific job in keeping the royal family in the dark. She managed to buy him more than 5 years of time. However, the news was soon leaked and the royal family acted strongly and swiftly after that. One day, while in the army barracks and reviewing information about the progress of the army's marching, Wang Wei suddenly felt a powerful aura heading in his direction. He left his office and looked in the direction of the aura. There he saw an old man quickly approaching them. He could tell that this old man was a divine altar realm cultivator. Well, the response was quite intense, muttered Wang Wei as he could tell that this man was most likely one of the ancestors of the royal family used as a powerful deterrent. Just the fact that they were willing to wake him up from his seal showed that the royal family took their rebellion very seriously, and ought to use the swiftest means to put it to an end. Wang Wei looked at the approaching old man with a calm face. He did not care for the fact that this person was in the divine altar. He could see at a single glance that this person had only about 100 divine veins engraved on his altar. Meanwhile, he had 360 divine veins. In the divine altar realm, a cultivator can have a maximum of 365 divine veins. More than 90 veins were considered the middle of the realm, more than 180 veins were considered the high of the realm, while more than 270 were considered the peak of the realm. In the last 7 years he spent waiting for the trial to begin, he had already entered the high divine altar realm. Meanwhile, in the past 5 years in this plane, he managed to reach the peak using a lot of the origin sources he brought back from the sect. Wang Wei also knew that he was not the only one who had reached such a cultivation level. Both Li Jun and Yan Liling had reached the peak of the divine altar realm, with only a few divine veins behind him. Thinking about this, Wang Wei realized that he has been cultivating for almost 50 years now, making him technically in his 60s. If you add the near 30 years from his past life, he is an old man in his 90s. At this age, he should have grandkids and maybe even great-grandkids. Yet, in the world of cultivation, he is still nothing but a toddler. While Wang Wei's mind was drifting faster than a whipped horse, the cultivator of the royal family soon arrived. It was an old man with a long face, squinty eyes and white beard. However, he was very skinny, almost to the point of his bones appearing under his black robe. Wang Wei knew that this was a result of him sealing himself to continue his almost finished lifespans. When Dongxi arrived, he saw a young and handsome boy with gray eyes and hair waiting for him. He frowned because he could not tell the cultivation level of this person. However, with the obvious physical features, he realized that this person was the wise sage that incited the rebellion and his target this time. However, things seemed to be more tricky than he previously imagined. And things got worse for Dongxi. Soon, he saw another young boy coming out to meet. This person had a terrible fighting intent deep in his eyes. What's worse was the fact he could feel the aura on this boy, and it was similar to him, the divine altar realm. To be specific, the aura was even more powerful than him. However, Dongxi did not back down despite the odds being against him. Wise sage Wang Wei, god of war, Li Jun, I assumed, said Dongxi with a hoarse and powerful voice. Are you one of the ancestors of the Dong royal family? Asked Wang Wei. That is correct. You can address me as Dongxi. Old man Dongxi. Can I call you that? I'll just call you that. Old man Dongxi, I can honestly see that it is quite difficult for a person like you to reach such a realm in a low plane like this one. Wouldn't it be a shame to just die like this for no reason? How about this, I'll provide you with a pill that will extend your life for 5 to 10 years, then you work for me. And if you do not wish to betray the royal family, that's fine too. I can still give you the pill, as long as you can convince the other ancestors and the king to stop resisting and peacefully hand over the kingdom. I can promise to provide the same pills to the dying ancestors, and I can promise to provide a place for the royal family in my new dynasty. Of course, that is if they follow the laws that I made. Otherwise, Old man Dongxi was not surprised by the way Wang Wei talked about their world. Throughout the years, many kingdoms of this world have gotten the news of a bunch of extraterrestrial demons that have invaded their world. Each of them seemed very young and powerful. And they all have the same objectives, establishing their own dynasty. Many kingdoms have chosen to bow and swear their allegiances to these extraterrestrial demons, while others decided to fight them and capture them to extract information about their world from them. Unfortunately for Dongxi, the Eastern Rain Kingdom has decided to fight no matter the outcome. As such, despite the fact that he was tempted by the offer, he still refused. He was born and trained by the royal family. Even when his lifespan reached its end, it was the family that used the precious sealing array and bloodstones to allow him to enter deep sleep and prevent him from dying. As such, he will use his last remaining breath to do something meaningful for the kingdom before his death. Dongxi sighed and began to mobilize his origin qi. He then bit the tip of his tongue and forced out a drop of deep red blood. It was his blood essence or source blood. At the very least, the tiny last bit he had left. The next moment, his body became even more thin, his ribs could be easily seen, and he looked like even the wind could easily break him. However, Dongxi did not care about this. When he came here, he was prepared not to return. After which, he took out the gourd that was hanging from his side and dropped the blood essence into the gourd, which immediately started to shine. The aura on the gourd increased from a top-tier profound-grade magical weapon to a low-tier earth-grade one. After seeing this, Wang Wei also sighed and waved his head to the side. Then, Li Jun also took an earth-grade weapon, but his was a spear. Li Jun then walked toward Dongxi and waited for him to finish preparing. He has this level of confidence in himself. After finishing his preparation, Dongxi waved his hand, and the gourd spewed out a large amount of water heading straight to Li Jun. With hesitation, Li Jun mobilized his origin qi and coated his spear with it, which in turn lit up the color red. He stabbed the oncoming water. With a boom sound, both the attacks clashed, which resulted in powerful winds destroying the surrounding 100 meters. Meanwhile, Li Jun was quite surprised at this attack. He thought this was just normal water or elemental attack. After fighting in the army the past 3 years, he realized that the cultivators in this world focused heavily on spells or origin ability instead of martial arts. Although they cultivate the origin path like the cultivators in the myriad emperor world, they seem to have separated the spell and the martial arts of the origin system. When they fight, the cultivators of this world usually use all kinds of spells from a far distance, and do not really fight head-on. To Li Jun, this approach is very stupid given how much origin qi is drained when using spells in the early stage of the origin system. Especially when most cultivators in this world are in the divine sea realm, and cannot control the spiritual qi of heaven and earth. Without the ability to control spiritual qi in the environment, cultivators have to use their own origin qi to make spells more powerful, thus rapidly draining their qi. Adding the fact that most cultivators in the world only have a normal foundation when they break through the divine sea realm, the amount of origin qi in their body is already pitiful. Yet, they still used it in such a wasteful way. most of them cannot continue to fight after using a few dozen spells. This is also one of the reasons that mortal martial arts has such a high status in this world. As long as the martial artist's body is strong enough, he could kite a cultivator until their origin chi ran out and fight them head-on. Back to the fight. After Li Jun clashed head-on with the water, he realized that this particular water was actually heavy. The whole thing has a weight of a couple of 100,000s of kg. As such, after the initial clash, Li Jun was forced backward by Dong Si. However, he was not really affected. He mobilized the divine veins in his altar, which he modeled after the battle tower in the sect, and controlled the spiritual chi in the air. He stabbed his spear again. This time, however, he exploded the spiritual chi at the tip of his spear, effectively scattering the water all over the air. Then he rushed towards Dong Si. However, old man Dong Si had many experiences fighting with martial arts that came close to him. As such, without hesitation, he used his gourd, who suddenly expanded in size and blocked Li Jun's attack. Then he used the shockwave of the weapon clashing to distance himself from Li Jun, while at the same time regathering the scattered water he had previously used. Dong Si spit a mouthful of blood, but ignored this, then quickly chanted a spell. The water turned into a dragon, and flew towards Li Jun. Li Jun stabbed his spear again, then a 15 meters long red spear image came out of his weapon and flew towards the dragon. Boom! The air trembled and exploding sound echoed in the plain they were fighting in. Even the citizens and soldiers inside the city a few hundred meters away could hear the sound of the explosion. The water dragon was once again dispersed. However, before Li Jun could make another move, the scattered water turned into marble-like size and started falling downwards. Li Jun immediately felt something was wrong, as the color of the water had turned black. Without hesitation, he covered himself with his origin chi and started blocking the black rain. Li Jun moved his spear very fast, blocking every single drop of water that came at him, thus creating countless after images of his spear moving. After the rain stopped falling, old man Dong Si was breathing really hard. Meanwhile, Li Jun looked terrible. His clothes had many holes and he looked like a beggar. In fact, he was not even the slightest injured due to his origin chi protecting him. However, the same cannot be said for his clothes. Li Jun looked at the ground around and noticed countless marble-sized holes in a diameter of 50 meters around. It looked like a mole digger had done quite the number in the environment. Li Jun looked at Dong Si and said, "It seems that I have underestimated the cultivators of this world. Alright, let's end this charade." After saying that, Li Jun moved and appeared a few meters behind Dong Si. Although he looked like he teleported, this was just due to the fact the moved so rapidly that the normal eyes could not notice. In fact, even Dong Si did not notice how Li Jun moved instantly behind him. However, his many years of experience could feel the threat from his backs, so he tried to protect himself and move out the way. Unfortunately for him, it was too late. Li Jun mobilized his killing intent and imbued it into his spear, then threw it at Dong Su. Old man Dong Si only heard the sound of the air whistling, then he knew he was in danger. He tried to mobilize his origin chi to protect him, and buy him enough time to dodge, but a sudden killing intent entered his divine si and started to destroy his origin chi. Without the time to dodge and any protection, the spear effortlessly pierced Dong Si into his heart from the back, making him throw up another mouthful of blood. However, it did not stop there. The force of Li Jun's spear carried Dong Si's body and traveled in the air for more than 100 meters before hanging his already dead body on the wall of the city. Wang Wei watched the whole fight with satisfaction. Although Li Jun underestimated his opponent, it did not matter, as long as he learned from his mistake. Furthermore, he recognized that the last spear throw was actually a move from the Heaven Fighting Scripture, the Emperor Scripture created by the Battle Maniac Emperor. It allowed Li Jun to easily manipulate things like fighting will or killing intent. In the later stage, it can easily turn these concepts into physical manifestations instead of just spiritual ones. After the fight, the two of them returned to the city and calmed the citizens who were previously panicking. After that, both Wang Wei and Li Jun entered the main barrack to discuss the next military strategies. After the royal family discovers their actions, the fighting will intensify dramatically. Inside the room, there was a map of the Eastern Rain Kingdom, and a sandbox of the terrain of the next city they are about to attack. On the map, the kingdom was divided into layers. A group of cities together formed a county, and a bunch of counties created a state. Together, 72 states formed the entire Eastern Rain Kingdom. On the map, 12 of the states had pins on them, indicating they had been conquered. After entering the barack, both General 4 and 5 saluted Wang Wei and Li Jun. "How is the situation on the border?" asked Wang Wei. "Still stable. General 1 has prevented the Iron Fist Kingdom from breaching into our borders after they discovered the current state of the kingdom. General 2 has recently fought against the barbarian Wolf Kingdom. They also seem to have the intention of intervening, while we are still fighting with the royal family. As for the border of the territory of the Black Moon sect, General 3 has sent news that the sect seem to be very quiet. There is a chance that they might want to reunite with the other kingdoms and attack us from the rear." Wang Wei pondered for a moment. Due to the vast land of the Eastern Rain Kingdom, it has 3 borders in the western side: the Iron Fist Kingdom, the Barbarian Wolf Kingdom, and the Black Moon sect, who also controlled a vast amount of territory. After a brief moment, he ordered, "Tell General 3 to start attacking the territory of the Black Moon sect to distract them. He has to make sure that these 3 kingdoms do not form an alliance no matter the circumstances. As for the other 2, tell them to keep the defense as tight as possible until we manage to conquer the entire kingdom." After checking that he did not oversee anything, Wang Wei asked, "What about Wang Ju, any news from her?" "Yes, young master," answered General 5 this time. "Miss Wang Ju reported that she has taken control over all of the brothels under young lady Su Ai, and has managed to spread them throughout the rest of the world. According to her report, in just 2 to 3 years, she can cover all the kingdoms in this world." Wang Wei nodded with a smile on his face. Wang Ju always did her jobs properly and to the utmost satisfaction. A few seconds later, someone came to notify Wang Wei that someone was looking for him. With a puzzled look, he asked to bring the person in. Soon a beautiful woman with a charming smile walked inside the meeting room. As soon as she entered, both Generals 4 and 5 seemed to have lost their minds. Their eyes could not separate from her, and few drooling saliva fell from their mouths. If it was not Li Jun to slap them in the back of their head and wake them up, they probably would have further embarrassed themselves. "It seems that you have made your breakthrough, Miss Su Ai," said Wang Wei with a happy smile on his face. "Even so, my charm has no effect on you, young master Wang Wei," answered Su Ai with a coquettish smile on her face. Seeing the nonchalant smile on Wang Wei's face, Su Ai was a little discouraged, but she did not show it. "I would like to thank you, young master, for providing me with all these resources. Without you, I will not be able to enter the divine altar realm so soon." "There is no need to thank me. Without you, we would not be able to have such a solid foundation in this world. As long as you work hard, you will be rewarded. Who knows, maybe one day, you could awaken your bloodline, just like the 10 Tails great emperor, and be able to compete with me." After hearing this, Su Ai sighed with sadness and regret. The demon race is a race that places heavy emphasis on bloodline. And among the many bloodlines of the demon race, the bloodline of the nine-tail fox race can only be considered medium. Although they are way much better than these demonic beasts that have to reach the supernatural realm, tier 4, to even turn into human form, they are not even close to being the top in the demon hierarchy. What's even worse was the fact that all the women of the Nine-Tails Fox clan are very beautiful women. As such, they are always in demand by other demon clans with royal bloodlines, which are demons clans who inherited their bloodlines from great emperors. The Fox clan has survived countless years by offering their most beautiful woman to other demon clans. However, they always hoped to one day become a member of the royal family themselves. And they had a great chance too. One time, a genius woman was born in the Nine-Tail Fox clan. Her name was Su Weiwei. After her birth, the clans tested her bloodline and discovered that it had mutated into 10 tails instead of 9. The entire clan celebrated and believed that she was the key for them to become a royal bloodline. As long as she manages to win the Heaven Will, then their fox clan would rise and no longer be forced to serve the other demon clans. As such, they decided to hide Su Weiwei's talent. Unfortunately, she was eventually discovered. Many demon royal families then place pressure on the fox clan to hand her over or face extinction. After much discussion, the majority of the fox clan decided to hand over Su Weiwei. At this point in time, the fox clan was so used to bowing their heads in front of the other clans that they were not willing to fight for the opportunity given to them to fight for their clan's future. And they paid dearly for their decisions. Su Weiwei was not like the other fox clans. She refused to spend the rest of her life being the plaything for some other demons. As such, after receiving the news that the clan had abandoned her, she escaped without hesitation. After receiving the news, the other royal families were furious and further threatening to annihilate the fox clans. In order to make amends to the other clans, the elders of the fox clan used bloodline origin spells to track Su Weiwei and led other demon clans to chase her. Since then, Su Weiwei's life has been constantly on the run. Everywhere she went, the demon clan would send someone after her. The running lasted for thousands of years or more. It wasn't until she became a saint that she managed to find a way to hide her bloodline powers and escape. After that, Su Weiwei disappeared in front of the world. Many people thought that she was either dead in a distant corner of the world or secretly captured by one of the demon clans in order to study the mutation of her bloodline. However, everyone was soon proven wrong. When the Heaven Will of that generation appeared, Su Weiwei once again showed and fought for it. With an unparalleled illusion technique, she easily killed all the heaven chosen of the demon races and suppressed all the ones from the human race. Then, she bore the Heaven Will and proved the Tao. She took the name of 10 Tails Great Emperor. After becoming emperor, she did go on a killing spree or take revenge on the people who had pursued her all her life. No, she completely ignored them, even the fox race. All she did after proving the Tao was preaching to the whole world, just like every other emperor has done. Then, she vanished without a trace. The 10-tail Great Emperor can be considered the shortest ruling Great Emperor of the myriad emperor plane. As for the Fox Demon clan, well, it was a terrible loss for them. They lost the chance to further their bloodline, and to have an emperor scripture. They essentially threw away their only chance at becoming a royal demon clans. After this incident, the other royal demons feared the bloodline of the Nine-Tail clan, and went to great lengths to suppress them. Until this generation, with the help of the Tao opening sect and the decisiveness of their matriarch, the Fox Demon clan escaped to the central continent. After seeing Su Ai's sadness, Wang Wei realized that he might have poked a sore wound of hers, so he said, "Do not think of past things and look forward to the bright future. When I establish the dynasty, I will reserve a high position for you. That way, blessed with immense luck, it is possible for you to quickly cultivate to the peak of the divine altar realm and even increase your luck." As soon as he finished saying this, he felt a sudden reminder and took out a talisman from his space ring. Immediately, he heard Princess Dong Lifen's words. "Young Master Wang Wei, you need to hurry up. I just received news that the royal family has sent a powerful cultivator to secretly attack Blesswing City." "You mean Hard Rock City?" "You do not need to worry, I already fought and killed their envoy." "No, not Hard Rock City, Blesswing City," answered the princess with anxiety in her voice. It was then that Wang Wei realized that he had made a grave error. He assumed that when the royal family heard about their existence, they would send someone directly to fight and kill him. However, war is not a game with rules. Who said that the enemy could only attack you where your troops are stationed? And this is exactly what the royal family did. Not only did they send someone after Wang Wei, but also sent someone to bypass their troops and attack the rear in a surprise attack. And they succeeded as Wang Wei was not prepared for such a move. Without hesitation, Wang Wei rushed towards Blesswing City with all his strength, hoping to arrive in time to protect it.